Hi, this is BK Black Krishna for manfulwars.com. Here on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, in downtown Toronto, Canada, at 3:35 p.m. There's a little time and date on that. And at manfulwars.com, I'm promoting polite patriotism to help nice ladies and gents teach kids, look, walk, talk, feel, and do great. Communicate well offline about what they learn and discuss online, and then be proud nationalists against globalism and save their country from being sort of people suck things, sort of, well, nobody wants that, so who's behind that? Oh, it's nobody from here. It's people influencing people here to kind of weaken us and make us easier to control. So it kind of works on all levels, and so polite patriotism, 98% of people who are straight can be great at it, and the other 2%, LGBT, whatever, can also be great at it. Nobody has to be a mess, make anyone put up with a mess, anything like that. So manfulwars.com for more on that. As it's been getting worse over the last few years, I've been still sort of maintaining the idea that Canadians can be polite, world famous, nice, polite Canadians. If you go anywhere, you don't make them, worry about you. So you can go anywhere in the world, and I've traveled the world myself, and nobody ever worries. Once they find it, they might worry about you because you're like, well, where are you from? I don't know. Once they find you're Canadian, they're like, well, of course, you people. No, it's fine. Happy to have you here, right? Or if people visit the country, typically that's been the case. And as there's more rude sketchiness out there, and people act too rude and sketchy and bother you until you don't like it, and then wander around bothering strangers, and then they make it hard to talk or really do anything else. That sort of is something that we have to deal with as polite Canadians. Who, if you can meet with other polite Canadians where you don't make each other uncomfortable, nobody starts getting worked up, forcefully put up with them like a pretend rude, sketchy girlfriend, doesn't care what you're doing, you don't care what they're doing, saying, whatever, and then don't like each other and go bother strangers instead, or can't communicate well. If you can get together with people that don't do that, then polite Canadians can privately kind of meet and discuss what to do about that and more, because that makes it hard to do everything else. So, with that little framing in mind, here at 3:37 p.m. on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019 in downtown Toronto. This video is called How Polite Patriotism Expands the Overton Window and Helps You Save Your Country, right? And I've got a ton of stuff about this at manfulwars.com when it comes to the sort of bigger picture. And if you notice these sort of things happening and you think you can do something about it, because nobody likes it, nobody likes people getting worked up and bothering people. I know myself, always feel better. Ignoring people on route puts you in a good mood, like hanging up on a rude telemarketer. And I've asked people, somebody's been worked up near me, quietly worked up, can't explain why, embarrassed, argue, lie, get mad at you, whatever, drag into some more crap, if you kind of do anything with them. And there's been a bunch of people nearby, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, if it's really that easy to get worked up and bother a stranger, because people obviously enjoy that sort of thing, then I'll just ask some of these other people, excuse me, would you like this person worked up, trying to force you to see him look ugly, make you uncomfortable, quiet, doesn't explain why, anybody? And there's just people sitting there, not doing anything. They're just like, no, look at you, they look away, don't bother me, I'm glad it's not happening to me now. It's like, oh, well, there you go, right? And it's a hard life to try and force people to see you look ugly because they don't, or sketchy or whatever, because they don't want to see it that much, right? But when you do that too much and it's hard to be near you, then because you can't be near people easily, you run near people and force them to see you look sketchy, right? And then you can't really do anything else because you can't say stop. You're like, what do you mean stop? I do this all the time. I do this when people are near me, make it too uncomfortable to do anything else, and then I just wander around bothering strangers doing it. Like, it's not like I can be nice to people and talk to people comfortably or vice versa. Sort of uncomfortable, and I can't wait to get back to that because you don't really, when you force people to put up with you don't give a crap about them, they don't give a crap about you, and then you go bother other people you don't give a crap about. And people bother people who don't like it till you don't like them, and then they just feel bad, and then they can't really help each other communicate well. So that tends to shrink, what people can do about things. And so at manfulwars.com, here in the city of Toronto, Canada, I've maintained, being a polite Canadian. I've sort of, said stuff about it, done stuff about it, filmed stuff about it, and so on. And people are fine. They're fine with it. They're the people that want to be nice to you because you're not worked up bothering people and you're not paying attention to it, you're just ignoring it. I got hat low, sunglasses, maybe holding something up to sort of shield myself from somebody worked up trying to force people to look at it and make us uncomfortable. then they know that you want to be nice. As long as you don't say anything, do anything about that, make people feel any worse. People already feel bad that it's happening. People are worked up by it. People can't explain why. As long as you don't say anything about that, then other people are happy to be nice to you, and you can be nice to them. And when you act nice and you don't bother each other, and you can say nice things to each other, you can look nice, and so on. If you can't, then you can't do any of that, right? So you just make each other uncomfortable. You can't do much. You just go bother strangers and try to make them uncomfortable, right? People less messed up than you go attack, and people more messed up than you attack you, and then people just more and more messed up. So as a polite Canadian, I've kind of maintained sort of polite Canadian manners and standards, and just keep your self-respect to avoid losing yours and taking anyone else's. And so you meet a lot of Canadians like that, where you're nice to each other. I just went and bought a coffee, and there was a very attractive young lady there, and she didn't force me to see her look ugly, and I didn't force her to see me look ugly. And I was ignoring someone else near us, trying to force people to see him look ugly. So she took an opportunity, busy, cute young lady, to be nice and friendly with me, and I was nice and friendly with her. And she, made time stand still, so she didn't waste mine, I didn't waste hers. And I was, I traded shy with her, and then she got confident, and then that was it. And it was nice. And because we acted nice, she could look nice, and I could say some nice things, and both of us could look nice and say some nice things, right? But relatively being a man and a woman. And I've got, holding something up to avoid somebody near us, indicating I don't want to bother anybody, or be bothered, whatever. And not saying anything about it, make anybody else any more comfortable. It's bad enough it's happening, right? And then I get to her, and she's like, okay, cool, So, just nice. And we never see each other before, may never see each other again. It's just the idea of, if you're near people, how do you carry yourself to make sure you act nice enough to talk, right? Or mind your business, say hello, or look attractive, or look at someone looking attractive. How do you do that? And if you don't do that, what is the opposite that happens, right? Where you can't do anything except for the opposite of that, right? And so, excuse me. So, so manforwars.com, I've kind of maintained the sort of polite Canadian thing, and the people that act rude and sketchy, they enjoy being ignored more than anything. But that's been the case my whole life, right? Before the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, as it's been getting worse and worse, especially over the last 3, 4, 5, right? But 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you'd see it like, once every few months in downtown Toronto. Still a city. There's still some mentally ill people here. They can't stop shaking, making people everyone near them uncomfortable, and they can't do anything because people don't want to do much with them. It's just kind of hard, and then they go bother strangers and force them to see it, right? It used to be just every few months. You might run into some random homeless, mentally ill person or something like that, and it wasn't a big deal, right? And it's the same thing with people acting rude and sketchy now, in the sense that if you go to, say, a Tim Hortons coffee shop in Toronto, say in January, February, it's cold, and there's a rude, sketchy, crazy old man there, right? Scratching his head, force people to look at him, wiping his nose, shoving something in his mouth, can't talk. He's, it makes people, usually makes people near him uncomfortable, right? But it's cold, he paid $1 for a coffee, and he's sitting inside a Tim Hortons, right? That rude, sketchy old man will sit there for a couple of hours, right? Just trying to force people to see him look sketchy. Polite Canadians will come in and just politely ignore him, right? Just look away, just uncomfortable enough. You don't want to make them do anything more or do anything with them or whatever. Keep your self-respect. Don't lose yours. Take anyone else's. Don't bother anyone. Feel bad, for goodness sakes, right? And the rude, sketchy person will enjoy being ignored for hours. You might be like, why does that rude, sketchy, homeless person or whoever like being ignored so much? And the thing is, if you're never nice to people, right? You always bother people who don't like it until they don't like you, right? If you never show any respect or get any respect from people, then the best you can possibly do is to be not that bad and not bothered, right? Every time I'm near someone, they go, ew, yeah, or they force me to go, ew, yeah, and that's not good. But if I can go near someone, they don't go, ew, yeah, and they don't make me go, ew, yeah, then it's the best I can do. Right? So that's why. And same thing with a lot of people, acting rude and sketchy, bothering people who don't like it till you don't like them, and then making it hard to look at, talk to each other, and then bothering strangers who don't like it until they don't like them, and then it's sort of all people do. I mean, you can't stop them because what else can they do, right? You can't. Nice to people, look at, talk to people. You just got to sort of make them put up with you, right? The more messed up people get. People don't like it. Like I said, it's hard to force people to see you look ugly. People run across traffic, jump over cars, jump out of trees, hide behind mailboxes, sneak up on you. They bump into you. They rub up against you. Like a pretend, bitchy, sketchy, ugly girlfriend zombie that hates you, doesn't care what you're doing, doesn't care what you're saying, doesn't care if there are other people around, make them uncomfortable, And I typically just, again, you don't want to bother anyone. People are already uncomfortable. It's happening. They're not happy. It's happening. People around are already this. I'm just happy it's not happening to them. You can't say, hey, would anybody like this? You 20 people over there just chilling. Would you like this person to get worked up, force you to see him look ugly? And they're like, no, because I'm happy to help him. I'm like, look, man, if it's that easy, or woman, or whatever, if it's that easy to sort of just go up to strangers and do that, like it's in Canada, it's like Canadian. If you don't act rude, you don't get worked up and force people to put up with you, then it's easy to do certain things with just about anybody, right? Like, if you're confident masculine strength, disciplined about it, confident feminine vulnerability, disciplined about it, polite about it, these sorts of things, then guys can be cool with each other, and you're like, oh, hey, we're guys with each other, we can make each other uncomfortable, and then you're like, but I'm going to go out of my way to make sure I don't make you uncomfortable, you don't make me uncomfortable. And then, if you do that, on a nice day in Toronto, say a nice summer day or whatever, say, hey, great day, isn't it? Because you acted like you weren't going to bother each other, so what you're saying is not suspect, right? If you act like you're not going to bother each other, then what you're saying is not trying to bother each other. If you act like you're trying to bother each other, then what you're saying could probably be trying to bother each other, right? If you're like, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. Acting like we're not going to bother each other. This can keep you from getting cancer. You might be like, oh, thanks. But if you're acting like you're trying to bother each other, say, hey, how's it going? I'm trying to bother you. Force you to put up with me. Hey, this can keep you from getting cancer. And you're like, what? You doing that to bother me and that to bother me? So then people don't like each other and they go bother strangers, right? Like crazy homeless people, right? Like poor crazy homeless people. You always hope people can stop, obviously. You don't want to argue with somebody. You don't want somebody's going to lie, get embarrassed, or if they act like your pretend ugly, sketchy girlfriend, doesn't care what you're saying or doing, wants to force you to put up with them. And if they talk like that, that's like 0 for 2. You know what I mean? So, what can you do? It's like, they act like that and talk like that. So, that's how people don't like each other, and then they go bother strangers. So, this is what's going on, and I got tons of evidence of that. And I want to establish that clearly, just so you understand what it is when people get worked up and force you to put up with them, and what happens, right? That's why I'm promoting polite patriotism at manforwars.com. And so on that note, I'm going to get into, here at 3:48 p.m. on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, downtown Toronto, Canada, BK Black Krishna for manforwars.com. I'm going to get into how polite patriotism expands the Overton window to save your country. Right? And you may not know what the Overton window is, which is fair enough. I didn't. There was a time, just like you didn't. This time everybody didn't know anything, right? Little baby, whatever. You knew you liked boobies, and that hasn't changed. But otherwise, you learned a lot more, right? So, anyway, so here, I'm looking at Wikipedia for the definition of the Overton window, right? This is on Wikipedia. There it is. Okay. And so on Wikipedia, it says here, Overton window. And there's an arrow pointing up saying more freedom and pointing down saying less freedom. And in the center of it is it's a bunch of ideas. It's policy. Then it goes popular, sensible, acceptable, radical, unthinkable. And that could be to more freedom, or policy, and that's typically government policy, popular, sensible, acceptable, radical, unthinkable, for less freedom. So it could be like, we never thought we could have it this good. We've got all this technology, all this information. We're nice, polite patriots, and we can talk about things and respect each other. But we can do so much with it that we can be, so optimistic about our future, right? It's unthinkable how cool we could have things, right? Everybody can pretty much do what they want and have all sorts of opportunities. We have robots for the rest, right? As long as we keep, we keep control of things, right? Then we're good. And then there's the opposite, which is from, well, I'm just sort of getting by doing whatever, to unthinkable in a bad sense. Oh my God, I can't believe things got this bad. This place sucks. People sucks. No one's nice. No one's friendly. No one can communicate well. People bother each other, make each other uncomfortable, and then we get foreigners coming in, and there's all sorts of things happening to our country that we can't talk about offline with each other. We can only talk about it online, like the Matrix, like we're living in pods. But then offline, all these smart people have got to be morons, making each other feel bad and uncomfortable, right? So it could be the unthinkable either way, right? So here's the Overton window graphic that I just explained. It says here an illustration of the Overton window along with Trevino's degrees of acceptance. And it says here from Wikipedia, right? And you can fact check this more yourself. This is just a general understanding of this term that's now become common since 2010. It says here, the Overton window is the range of ideas tolerated in public discourse, also known as the window of discourse. So basically, what are you allowed to say in public? Right? What are you allowed to say? Now, obviously, there's certain things you should and shouldn't say in public. But what are you allowed to is a bit different than that. What are you allowed to is things that are controversial or that could potentially make people uncomfortable. Now, when people are polite patriots, nice ladies and gents, teaching kids, look, talk, feel great, and have something on their minds, like their country and their future, more than just, being bothered by crap or bothering people with crap, right? Then you can discuss a lot of things in public, and as long as you act nice, it's not hard to discuss these things. But if you don't act nice, if you have social constipation, trouble talking with political correctness, identity politics, not sure what to say, do this and that, everyone uncomfortable, I'm a mess too, whatever, don't worry about it, it's fine. I can't fix one, as an adult, just can be one, just trying to get by, right? There is that option, but that limits the discourse. So the opposite of that is acting nice, so you can talk more about things in public. And that means acting nice and talking nice. And that means you don't necessarily misperceive things as not being nice, just because they are controversial or difficult. So you don't automatically default to sort of going, well, they're acting rude, and what they're saying must be rude, right? So that makes it easier to discuss. So as long as you're nice, good afternoon, sir, good afternoon, ma'am, act like a lady and gentleman, polite, brief, busy or friendly to be respected, out of the way, on your way. Try to not bother people as much as possible so you can be comfortable minding your business, saying hello or looking at or talking to each other. If you do that, then you can say all sorts of stuff, right? Otherwise, if you bring up something, say, political, the Trudeau SNC-Lavalin scandal, the Yellow Vest protests, immigration, borders, child sexualization, whatever. You seem like a jerk for doing that, as opposed to someone who's trying to act nice. And so what you're saying is trying to be helpful. Now, you can still be called out for it. But the opposite of that is you not being able to act nice and then not being able to talk about things and not being able to talk nice, because there's just no point. Right? Not being able to talk much, not being able to talk nice. And that leads to people quietly bothering people instead of acting nice and talking nice. Right? So that's an issue that we're dealing with here. Now, back to the Overton window. What is allowed in the public discourse? It says here, the Overton window is the range of ideas tolerated in public discourse, also known as the window of discourse. The term refers to Joseph P. Overton, who claimed that an idea's political viability depends mainly on whether it falls within the window rather than on politicians' individual preferences. So it doesn't matter what politicians prefer, it's does it fit in that window of what people are comfortable, discussing and hearing being discussed, right? And that's why polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country with respect to that, because it makes it easier for independent media to do their jobs, for mainstream media to do their jobs, for politicians to do their jobs, for people in general to do their jobs, right? Otherwise, it all becomes harder. Even if you're a good politician inside, what if there's no good media to cover it? Even if you're a good person in media, what if it's not in style? What if people can't discuss? What if things are too controversial? Or what if it's like, no, we can handle this sort of thing, right? It's like the term conspiracy theory was created by the CIA. This is sort of admitted or whatever, semi-admitted, however you want to go about that stuff. But they came up with it after the Kennedy assassination on November 22nd, 1963, the assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, because people were questioning, how did that happen? Who let that happen? There's no way that guy who supposedly shot him could have made that shot from that building. There's been a bunch of memes and theories. And, you have, say 3/4 of the American population and people around the world who believe, no, it wasn't just one Lee Harvey Oswald, lone crazy man killer who didn't like the president. There was a bigger conspiracy to kill President John F. Kennedy because he was trying to do more good stuff for people. And so they wanted to stop that and put in a puppet who would do less good stuff for people and more good stuff for, corrupt super rich people who try and control politics and government and media and people, right? And so the term conspiracy theory, was created. And yet, if you say, I don't believe in, I don't want to hear any conspiracy theories. I don't want to have anything to do with anything that's a conspiracy theory. That means you can never ever know what two or more people are thinking of doing or planning on doing in private. That's immoral or illegal. So any two or more people that are trying to plan to do something immoral or illegal in private is a conspiracy theory, right? If your friends are planning you a surprise birthday party, that's not a conspiracy theory, because you can't be charged with conspiracy in a court of law. And it's the most common charge in a court of law, planning to do something wrong. They get you into planning, and then they either get you on that plan to rob a bank, or they get you on the bank robbery itself. But the conspiracy is the most, they would say, conspiracy. He's planning to do this. Here's our proof. Here's our recorded phone calls. Here's our whatever, right? Your friends are planning on throwing you a birthday party, and you're thinking, well, I wonder, I've got a theory about this. They might be conspiring to do that. It's not the same as an illegal or immoral thing. If your friends are planning on killing you and throwing you in the trunk and then throwing you in the river, that's a conspiracy theory. So, if you don't believe in conspiracy theories at all, just not in the sense of I don't want anybody to, but just the idea of it. Not the word, you can use a different word, right? You can use different words. But just in terms of the meaning, then you can never figure out what bad people are up to. Journalists can't either, right? If some journalists are like, wait a minute, I think Trudeau might have directed the Attorney General of Canada to take it easy on SNC Lavalin, a giant corrupt company, when it comes to them being charged for some mischief. No! Don't! Okay, never mind. Or if the cops, right? If one of these stores is robbed, right? And they're like, well, there wasn't much evidence of this, that, and the other. I think these two people conspired to rob the store. That person kept a lookout, this person did this. No, don't think of that. Don't think of that. It's a conspiracy theory. So yeah, I think those two people conspired in secret to do something illegal or immoral, and I'm trying to figure out, if that's true and what it is and how it affects us and what people should do about it, right? No. Well, okay, fine. So you can never do anything, right? You can't be like the tobacco companies conspired to make cigarettes more addictive. They put addictive chemicals in there. No, don't find out. Okay, fine. Forget it. Yeah, forget it. Right? You just can't think of anything like that. So, it's important to note that, right? That it is a term that is meant to make it easy for evil people to do more bad things, for them and often to us, right? So I'm not saying you should believe every conspiracy theory. You know, you could be like, you know, Santa Claus and Gandalf, you know, from Lord of the Rings, you know, are secretly living on the moon and conspiring to take over Earth. It's like, although, if I had a good explanation and some evidence where there's facts and reality, right? Well, there is sort of a Santa Claus, or the idea of a character named Santa Claus, so that's sort of that's true. And Gandalf from Lord of the Rings is a character, a wizard from the movie, the book Lord of the Rings. That's sort of true. And there is a moon, right? And you know, they could be living there and conspiring to take over the Earth. But if it's stupid, then you can laugh at it. And if it's smart, then you can use it and possibly pass it on as polite, patriotic, helpful people sharing what they know to improve where they live. Right? And that's typically what people have done for the last, 50, years or so. Right? Now, and when it comes to the Overton window here at 4:01 p.m. on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, downtown Toronto, Canada, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. This is one of the reasons that I've got all this, sort of evidence and information about this, right? For thousands of years, because this is about the Overton window, what can people discuss, how polite patriotism can expand the Overton window so you can save your country, right? When people... Before social constipation, trouble talking, political correctness, identity politics, a lot of globalist, radical left corruption of normally nice, friendly, polite liberals, and then there's friendly, polite conservatives. They can at least be nice and talk about things and respect each other, right? But with the globalists, super rich people who want to use international institutions to control the world, trying to use their radical activist arms and others and control the media to push radical left ideas and corrupt liberalism and attack conservatism, what ends up happening these days is they make liberals scared of conservatives, while conservatives laugh at liberals. So that's partly why you see so many ugly liberals and so many good-looking conservatives, right? Part of it is conservatives try and preserve what works to make sure that, we still have it. Liberals try and make changes to make people happy. Conservatives try and preserve what works to make people happy. So in the ways of being, nice, polite Canadian ladies and gentlemen, for example, you try and preserve that. People can do other things, but you try and preserve that as an option because it always worked. It always made it easy for us to talk about things, keep a great house party going when it comes to the country and the vibe, and so on. And if people did something stupid, we could talk about it. We would stop it, right? Offline. I'm talking about in the real, not just online, offline. I'm talking about with other Canadian humans, right? So when it comes to that, what's ended up happening really fast, just in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 3, 4, 5 years, last 5 to 10 years, say, 3 to 5 to 10 years. It's been getting worse faster. Is with political correctness, identity politics, so on, making it hard to talk, and social constipation, trouble talking, sort of can't talk, and gender neutralization, trouble acting like men and women. What are you supposed to do? I was supposed to be the same. I deserve it too. Whatever. Blah, put up with me too. Whatever. Then there's no. It's all the same, right? And so it doesn't mean anything. Right? You can find someone that's less of a mess bothering people, then they're more worth bothering, but then you bother them until they have no self-respect and they're a mess bothering people. Right? So, so it becomes that. And for thousands of years, whenever there was some trouble where people lived, right? For thousands of years, if there was like an eclipse, say the moon was blocking out the sun, and everyone was like, we're all going to die, sacrifice your children, give them to the sun before the sun eats us. And somebody would be like, hey, whoa, hold on, just calm down, think about it this way instead, right? It's just doing that, and we'll see, and if really bad things happening later, you think you can kill your kids to try and save, yourself or whatever stupid thing you come up with when you're all freaked out by something. But let's think about it this way, these things move, whatever, and you could say stuff. And if people were all messed up, then they could hear it, and they could think about it, and then they could pass it on, and they could tell other people, right? And so, 5,000 years ago, a guy could walk around and be like, wait, don't sacrifice your kids because the moon's covering the sun. Should be gone like in a few hours, right? Just don't worry about it, right? And you could be like, oh, and then you could go over up the street, don't do that. And it's like, what? Because you weren't acting like, you couldn't talk to each other, right? Because people are normally like, what is it? You can still read body language, right, and vibes. You can see if someone's serious or not serious. Not no, they aren't serious about you, don't care about you or what you're doing, make you put up with them. You don't care about them, what they're saying, doing, make them put up with you, whatever. It wasn't like that. So for thousands of years, people could walk around and say stuff, right? And then that evolved into, say, Speaker's Corner on an apple crate in the middle of town. If you look at a movie about jolly old England or something, sometimes you'll have, from 500 or 1,000 years ago, you'll have a little box or an apple crate in the middle of town, or Speaker's Corner, a little podium, and people would go there and they would take turns, spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes talking about what's going on. Verily, here in the kingdom, it is a lovely day, but I think we need a bridge over yon thing. There are fresh berries, past that river. And if we can get to those fresh berries, we'll be happier for it. And people will be like, oh, and then they start talking about it, they hear it, and then they think about it, and they can be nice to each other, and they can talk about it. And then maybe they make enough of a stink over a few months, and they could maybe, petition the king to say, can we build a bridge over that river so that we can go get those berries? We'll all be happier for it. Or whatever it is, right? Good things, bad things, they liked it. They might stand there and listen, or catch something passing by, right? If they didn't like it, they might throw rotten tomatoes or fruit at you or vegetables at you and get you off of there, moron, right? If they like it, then it's cool, always cool. As long as you care, as long as you're cool. As long as you're not trying to bother people with how you act, then they don't care, right? Now you can still bother people with what you say, because you can talk rude too. But if you always act rude, you usually talk rude, or even if you talk nice, it's just you're acting rude, so it doesn't really, it's just bullshit, right? So, but if you're nice, then they're always cool for thousands of years, always been cool, right? Because they're like, well, whatever, like all of our favorite artists. Like Coldplay, Bob Marley, Tupac, all sorts of others, right? Could you be loved and be loved? People are like, yeah, sing it, you dreadlock, pot smoking Rasta. You're like, man, that dude didn't sing that good. You never liked that dude. He's like, yep, but I love that dude, right? That sort of thing always kind of sells, right? And so anyway, so you had people walk, think, talk with each other, nice to each other, Speaker's Corner, and then that evolved into posters and flyers and things like the committees of correspondence. People would write letters across the different states. This is how the American Revolution happened, right? They would put up posters. The British were in control of the U.S. colonies, and they were taxing people too much, and you had to quarter a soldier, which meant the soldier could live in your house, some nice, some raping your kids and wife, right? And so they got sick of this. So you might think the American Revolution happened it was like, that's it, we did nothing, and then now we're fighting. That wasn't how it happened. It was posters and flyers and something called the Committees of Correspondence that happened for 10 years before, right? And that was without today's modern communication tools. That was back in 1700s, right? And but they would put them up and people would educate people on things, and people would learn about how what was going on, how people felt about it. They could talk about it, and they'd get inspired. And even then, it was only like 5% of America that really rebelled, but that was a lot of people because America was big 13 colonies or whatever. But the rest were cool, right? The rest didn't stop them, right? Like the rest were like, no, don't say nothing, don't do nothing, nobody do anything, right? It wasn't that, right? It was, all right, you put up some posters and flyers or whatever around town in Boston or whatever, and guys are getting pretty sick, of what's going on, and they see it, like, hey, or they start talking, they back channel it, they respect each other, talk to each other. They say, man, those British really like tea. They say, yeah, man, let's throw that tea in the harbor. Man, screw that. We're going to let them know. We're going to send them a message. Stop screwing around. Right? And that is how that developed. Right? So, just talking about it, apple crate, Speaker's Corner, posters, flyers, committees of correspondence, magazines, and so on. And that brings us to today with the internet, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and so on, increasingly censored, right, online, increasing self-censorship, right? I've been trying to avoid a lot of these things, for a variety of reasons, because they do bad things to people, and then those people become people who've had bad things done to them, and then they become bad people, or people who act bad anyway, right? And by that I mean, shortened detention spans in some cases, or less ability to connect well in the sense of being unique individuals, because online encourages a certain thought standardization, right? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and so on. So you're trying to aim to be the same, right? And that's also what's creating the corporate clones or the zombies effect, where everyone's the same, right? Old man, young girl, kid, all worked up bothering people so you don't like them, and then worked up bothering strangers, and can't be near them comfortably, so they run near people and make them uncomfortable, right? And that's why it's all the same. And so you start, Twitter, twit, I'm old enough to remember what twit means, YouTube comments, tons of YouTube comments, but again, it's to nobody and everybody, right? It's not an individual, intelligent conversation between adults or young adults or kids who respect each other. It's very much, it's very different than that, right? It's sort of a, man, this sucks, Trudeau sucks, I can't believe all the corruption. Who are you talking to? Everybody, nobody, right? Or snarky, bitchy blurts, right? When you sort of bitch about things. And this professional line, bitches in the media, making more bitches, you make more bitches, you make more bitches, and they do that to normal people. Some of them know, right? They know they shouldn't be getting their manties or panties in a bunch over a Trump tweet, just to show how bad they feel, and insist that other adults need to feel really bad, and make other adults put up with them feeling really bad. When most of the time it's just them exaggerating how they feel to make us exaggerate how we feel and create that hysterical culture where people can't help each other; they can only make each other more messed up. Right? And Facebook, right? Where you start to see people self-censor more and just be crappier versions of themselves. It's like, man, the same dudes or girls I know, if we're hanging out and we're nice, polite Canadians who respect each other, then they're way more interesting. They're way more controversial. They're way more whatever. Right? So you don't want to let the opposite happen, where the internet turns people into sort of the same corporate clones, just striving for a bit of sort of meaningless attention, and then they can't connect well individually, right? And that's how polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country. Is nice, polite ladies and gents, something on their minds, realize they have to have self-respect, can't be a mess for themselves, kids, family, friends, others, right? They save, defend the West, and polite Western European manners and standards that we all liked, because people like that. You might be like, no, the Africans want it like Africa. Indians want, the Muslims sometimes, some of them are like, yes, but they shouldn't be allowed to do that, and without a lot of check and balance to say no, right? The other ones don't, right? I've had brown relatives, from India. So I'm like, I ask them because I liked India. It's not like here though. It's very different. Right? Culture's different, everything's different, smells different, dustier. It's not a bad place, and there are really nice people, but it's not here. Like, this is way nicer in terms of, certain things, and other things we fall back when it comes to the human element, with each other. But my point is that it's not like minorities here are like, no, this needs to be exactly like Beijing. Or no, this needs to be exactly like the Congo. Or no, this needs to be just like India. I want this to be like the slums of Mumbai. Sand and dust blowing everywhere, beggars and goats on the street, and people this and that. So nice things too, of course, but that must be it. No, nobody wants that. Or, no, we need to make sure we're like perfect clones, robots, bump into people, spit on street, right? And certain parts of China are like that because of their communist government. They went from emperor to communism, right? And now they're sort of being raised up as the new world role model, supposedly by 2030, so we don't have much time to stop it, as a sort of perfect communist, capitalist, censored hybrid. You might get a Gucci bag, you can't say shit because of the social credit scores, censorship, and so on, right? And slave camps and blah, blah, blah. And then everyone's supposed to copy that. That's why they're sort of being raised up in the public eye. And there's nationalism who's going, nope, They're not going to be the world role model. We're all going to be proud nationalist countries. We're great places to live. We're aware of what's going on. No globalist control, central control. And then we're cool with each other, you know? And so that's this sort of battle, nationalism versus globalism. And when it comes to that, you don't necessarily want this place, world famous, nice, polite Canadians, to be like that. But with this agenda, and it's a global agenda, globalist super rich people control international institutions, United Nations, World Bank, World Trade Organization, Davos, UNESCO, UN Education, Science, Culture Organization, trying to standardize that globally, right? Take down the West, bring up China as the world role model. Not because it's like, well, the Chinese are better. It's like, no, we created that to be a communist, capitalist, censored hybrid, don't say shit. We're making everybody else like that, right? Whereas we can free everybody. We can free Canada, America, China, you know, there's a nationalist in Poland and America and others that are pushing against that. Canada, there's some, right? But we're one of the worst countries when it comes to that because we've been so soft, and we're supposed to be so fashionably soft that we have nothing to say and nothing to do, and then we just bother people with nothing, right? And yet, if we were polite patriots expanding the Overton window to save our country like anybody could anywhere, you wouldn't have that. So that's, you know, the issue here when it comes to this. Here at 4:16 p.m., Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, downtown Toronto, Canada. Now I'm going to get back to this Overton window thing, because otherwise we can stop that. It's easy, right? There's enough. In Canada, Toronto, you know, we're all very, 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 very much online, right? We're very online, and there's a lot of people who know what's going on, but you can't talk about it if you're not nice to each other. You make each other uncomfortable. If you act like you're a mess, you know, and you make people put up with you, then you can't really say much, right? You can't talk about the issues of the day that comfortably. Or if you're always, you know, kind of acting rude and sketchy near people, and you still have to do things, right? You still have to be near people, look at people, talk to people, listen to people, and it's still uncomfortable. You never feel respected. You don't feel like you're showing any or getting any. And you can't wait for the freedom to act like a zombie and run around and bother strangers. You know, instead of forcing people to see you look ugly, they're still there, or being forced to see someone look ugly, just run up to people, force them to see them look ugly, and run away, right? So that's the opposite. That's why we've got to defend polite Western and European manners and standards, so we can be nice ladies and gents, because white people liked it, all the minorities here liked it. When I'd ask my relatives, as I was saying, about around the world, would you like to go back and live in India? Right? They're like, no, hell no. I like this place way better. They were very different. Both nice places with nice people, but very different. And so people have to realize that the changes that are happening are not being directed by Canadians, right? Because typically, you know, you want a nice place with nice people, or go to hell, right? It's not a threat, it's an offer, right? Polite patriotism, nice place, nice people, you know, nice to each other and something on their minds to make sure they're not, you know, realize the bigger picture, we're cool, we're in this together, you know, blah, 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 right? Teach kids, whatever, look, talk, feel great. You know, that's the key to making sure people can communicate well offline. Otherwise, more online censorship, right? You know, more self-censorship. First, they kind of brainwash you into feeling bad and making sure people feel bad to make sure you're nice. And then they pass laws saying you can't say things. And then they expand the freedom for everybody who's a mess, who has to mess with other people to make sure they feel happy, because they're fundamentally abnormal, and their abnormality contradicts with what is normal. So their abnormality is not making them a proud, polite, patriotic, self-respecting individual and member of sort of where they live, or associated, you know, tribes they belong to ethnically, or based on, you know, interests, right? They're not that. They're a mess, and they're making sure everyone has to be a mess, instead of everyone making sure everyone's cool, and then people don't have to be a mess, right? So, for example, if you're like, you know, You all need to agree with me. You do. Shut up. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear anything else. Right? You're a mess. If you can communicate with people, discuss and debate with people, then you're not a mess. If you can evolve and change your opinion, then you're not a mess. If you can say, I'm cool, do whatever you're doing, then you're not a mess. Right? So for example, guys turning into rude, ugly girls. Right? Guys sexually harassing each other like rude, ugly girls, then don't look at each other enough, jealously harassing girls, then making everyone act like the same corporate clone or zombie rude, ugly girl. It just makes people near them uncomfortable, hard to be near them, then runs near people, makes them uncomfortable and runs away. Right? That, you can see the sort of extreme news examples of that in the sort of transgender thing, where, because you have some self-respecting, straight people, 98% of people straight, great at it, gay people, lesbian people, and then the 0.001% of people who are trans or whatever, adults, nothing for kids, obviously, and I can get into that in more detail. But on this point, you'll get some groups where it's about being messed up and trying to have power over other people, not empowering other people, that are calling the shots. So in England, for example, they've banned using the word mother in hospitals. And they're going to ban all these other things that people really liked hearing on behalf of these people that can't say, no, I'm cool. In fact, I was trying to do something like that. I was trying to be good at being a man or a woman. Trying to be good at being a straight man or a woman, or good at being a gay man or a woman, or good at being a trans man or a woman. I was trying to be good at it. So I'm cool, and I can help other people be cool, or I can mind my business, right? And we can have intelligent discussions and agreements and disagreements. This is, I feel bad, I'm a mess. Fine, if we all stop saying mother, will you not be a mess? No. Okay, what else do you need? If we stop saying father? Yes, stop saying father. Stop using any gender. Stop using anything if you're normal. All the things to be nice to each other. People still use it. Podcasts, YouTube video, whatever. People, hey, sorry about that. I just wanted to express my opinion. Oh, no, sir. That's how you say you weren't upset at all. Oh, no problem at all, sir. It's great to have you on the podcast. Sorry for the long explanation. Oh, no, sir. You throw the sir in to say, let's top it up. Right? Or ma'am, or honey, or whatever. Right? Nope, don't use any of that stuff. Right? So if you're most people, 98% of people straight, you can't use any of that stuff. However, if you decide to switch and become trans, then we have to accept anything you're doing as being beautiful, attractive, great, or either it's beautiful, it's attractive, and it's great, or you should just be allowed to get away with it. You should just be allowed to do it. Right? So your responsibilities as an adult are gone. You don't have to be an adult who's good for other adults. You don't have to be an adult who's good for kids. Right? If you're a 3-year-old crying about spilled milk, there are no adults around who are 33 or whatever who can help you stop. Because they're always crying about something and making people put up with it. So that's the danger, right? That's the danger. People all act the same, right? Without confident masculine strength, leading and confirming the same. Guys knowing they're cool, confident feminine vulnerability, knowing she's cool, nice to have her there, whatever, right? People competing, getting more, rude and sketchy, and force people to see them look ugly, and then competing to force people to barely look at them, because it's hard to force people to, and then, just barely trying to get any attention you can, making it hard to talk, and then just doing that. Right? And that's the danger with what's going on right now. That's why polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and help save your country. Because otherwise the opposite happens. Right? And then it's harder and harder to discuss things offline, communicate well, whatever. Right? Then you can just freak out online, but just like offline, it's often to nobody and everybody. Right? I make a YouTube video, whatever. What do you need to do this? To nobody and everybody. I might get some comments, I might get some likes, I might get some thumbs, but it's not an evolved conversation between adults. Now, if people are polite and patriotic, they can facilitate those conversations. But based on the trend, the sort of globalist, corporate clone, zombification of people, that becomes harder and harder, and then they take us out offline, and then we're screwed, right? Trudeau just gave $595 million in taxpayer money to bail out the Canadian media this year, 2019. They all took it, except for people like Rebel Media. And so now they're all in the pocket of Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, which means if there are any valid criticisms of them, they'll typically be muted from an ownership level, because the owners are like, hey, we run this place, editorial level and reporting level. Now, there will be more and more Canadians, speaking up about these things and doing something about these things. But if everybody sort of turns into sort of an Antifa-style, genderless, rude, sketchy, meth head corporate clone that just, hates anyone that's not, thinks anyone that's not is like scum, and just wants to destroy everything and replace it with communism, or if they act like that, then, we're kind of screwed, right? Because you can have, like, if you see Antifa, if you've heard of Antifa, they're supposedly anti-fascists, but they're really communist fascists, they're cry bullies, right? They're lying, bitchy cry bullies, just like a lot of sort of brainwashing, right? Where they mess with people, and then as soon as you call them on it, they freak out on you, blame you, drag you into some more crap, call the cops, do whatever, right? They'll try and beat you up, they'll try and whatever, because they can't get along and communicate well. They're corporate clones, they're commie zombies, right? It's not like they're nice to each other, it's like they're Antifa, dressed in black, genderless, can't be nice, sullen, bitchy, bitter, this bad, that, those people suck, right? Then they just go bother people, right? Just go attack those people, right? Like when the Antifa's here at Black Bloc before that, and some of them are false flag provocateurs, but others are real. They're here in Toronto for different things, or they'll smash this, smash that. You'll get some, messed up 19-year-old sketchy meth head, thinks it's great to just bother people because they're all screwed up. Things suck anyway, destroy everything, right? And they'll go to someone who's like in their 50s, who's running a business, employing like 50 Canadians, helping them put their kids through school and retire comfortably, right? Well, you suck, this business sucks, everything sucks. And then it's like, hey, Mr. Antifa, you seem really serious about what you're doing. You're liberal, you're promoting, a lot of liberal ideas from a more radical left perspective that's dragging liberals there. And you seem really serious about it. You get all dressed up and you got different paraphernalia and something. You want to sit down and get a coffee and talk about this, and we can discuss what's going on, debate it? No, screw you, bother people, make sure everyone quiet, uncomfortable, can't talk. Nobody's saying, if you're not doing this, you're scum. Right? That's the globalist, radical left leadership on the front line of modern liberalism, turning normal liberals into Antifa-like zombies. Right? And that's the difference. And as I said, liberals learn to hate and fear conservatives. Conservatives learn to laugh at liberals. Right? You laugh at how stupid these things are instead of hate them or be scared of them or whatever. It's like, Nazis, white supremacists, you're everywhere. You're never going to take over. And it's like, no, hold on a second. I've been here for decades. There's almost none. The few that are there are stupid. And it's just a stupid idea. No, they're going to take over. Fight. It's great. Don't let anyone say anything. Right? It's just, the idea is stupid. The people saying those things are either evil or stupid, or misled. Because people be smart about stupid things. You can think of good things to say about some misinformation. Right? But that's why polite patriotism can expand the Overton window to help save your country. Because it makes it easier to discuss these things. And there are some good liberals doing good work, but more good conservatives and nationalists and patriots or whatever, because the globalist super rich people in charge of the world, they're all about change. They're all about what are we doing now, what are we doing now, what are we doing now, and liberals often advocate for changes to help people, as I said, while conservatives try and preserve what works to help people. This is how you raise a good, nice, God-fearing family with values. Get along great, work hard, contribute, make a great place to live. It's like, okay, that's cool. But what about these other people? Right? And liberals will be like, we got to make some changes to these people. And my attitude as a polite Canadian has always been, generally, got to be nice and polite, and as long as you don't screw anybody else up, then who cares? But if your goal is to screw other people up, or if there's some sort of brainwashing behind that, then that's what we've got to beat. Because that's what the globalists are doing with modern liberals and liberalism. That's why people are so unstable in many ways. Is because constant change, the pace of change. What do we do next? What do we whatever? What's going on? And it happens on a number of levels. And it comes with identity politics. What are we supposed to feel bad about now? How are we supposed to act? Who can talk? Who can say this? Who can say that? Toronto's cultural appreciation, is being attacked by cultural appropriation. Because you used to have cultural appreciation. If you could think about and talk about something, and not just carefully, like you're hoping, you don't piss yourself in front of somebody accidentally and make everyone uncomfortable, but you can think about it, talk about it, joke about it. That's cultural appreciation, and being in Toronto, where we got multicultural, perfect, nice polite Canadians, and then, I'm not talking about immigration, I'm talking about, we're happy to be here, right? It's not like you need, this is good, change everything. It's like, no, we had Western manners and standards and European culture, and then the other people who are here were like, we like it. We like polite Canadians, that's why we're here. Otherwise, we're back home. Right? You don't need to change everything. And if you go along with the changes to say, Canada's got 35 million people or so now, 35, 37 million people. Let's make it 100 million people and make it, 40% Muslim, 30%, African, 20% Chinese, and 10% white. What's the difference? It's like, it wouldn't be Canada anymore. Just like it wouldn't be France anymore. No, it doesn't mean that you're not nice to people here who are different. It just means that what you had going that was good was based on certain characteristics and demographics, and regardless of how we got there or where we're going, if that was good, then you want to try and save that, right? So if you got a house party of 50 people, and you want to take that 50 people to 100 people, right? Let's just say, hey, we're having a New Year's party. Oh yeah, okay, so we got 50 people on the list. How do we take that to 100 people? Right? Well, you can't just open the door and say whoever the hell it is, come in. You got to put some thought into it. Why is it going to be a shitty party? You can't just say, everyone's nice and everyone's this, everyone's that, doesn't matter. Well, you got to put some thought into it. And you got to be able to talk about and explain it and discuss it. Because then you can come up with the best things. And then if you hear something, you can hear better things. Right? So for example, if, the Canadian Trudeau Liberal government comes out and says, Canada's the world's first post-national state. World's first post-national state. There's no national identity. There's no national characteristics. There's nothing here that we do that's different from anybody else or worth saving or anything like that. If our Prime Minister comes out and says that a couple of years ago, it might just fall on deaf ears unless people can talk about it and discuss it, or hear good critiques of it and discuss it. Well, what does that mean? Right? If somebody knows what that means, they should be able to tell somebody else. And that sort of thing can sort of build up your thinking skills, and other people's critical thinking skills, and just generally get better government. It's not like, no, don't you say anything about Trudeau. I like his socks and he's cute. Shut up. No one say anything. Work up body people, make sure no one can talk. And it's like, okay, that's an option. Right? But just generally, when it comes to regardless, Trudeau, Scheer, Bernier, Jagmeet Singh, whoever, different politicians, different media, different anything, right? It's better if you can have some critical thinking skills and if you can share some of those critiques. And that's how polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country, because you should be able to discuss these things, and then once you hear better, and enough people hear better and share better, then that stuff sounds really stupid. If not, it just makes you really stupid, right? Like the people, in the U.S., the rich college kids, the parents, whatever, pharmaceutical sales, worth a couple of $1 million, give their kids, college tuition and a bunch of spending money, and the kids are there in the U.S. going, no borders, no wall, no USA at all, no borders, no wall, no USA at all. It's like you just came from millionaire parents, giving you everything. You go to a little commie zombie factory university, and you say that shit. Okay, fine. What if we do it? Then what? It's Lord of the Flies, right? Because it's not even like we're discussing it to the point where we know how we're going to do it well, and it's an explanation we're all comfortable with. There's no explanation we're comfortable with, and people make each other too uncomfortable to discuss it. You know, what does open borders mean? You know, how will it change, our culture, right? How will it change, the character of our country? Not because we hate other people. It's like your house. You lock your doors? You let anyone in? No. Why? Because you hate other people? No. You like yourself. You like your house. You like people in your house. Right? That's why you do that. And how about bringing in more people, mass migration? It lowers wages. People are going to make less money. Why? More people, same number of jobs, typically. New immigrants aren't typically great at creating jobs. It's not like every guy that comes over here, oh, that Somalian immigrant, come over. Yeah, he's the next Bill Gates. Yeah, he's going to make the next Microsoft. Don't worry about it. It's great. Yeah. No papers, no nothing, doesn't speak English. It's going to be the next Bill Gates. Going to employ 1 million Canadians. It's going to be awesome. Or may go on welfare, get $50,000 the first year, put up in a hotel while Toronto's homeless are freezing underneath the Gardiner Expressway. Then gets on Facebook, tells his friends back home, come on over, this is it, right? So wages go down, drain on the system, 1 million Canadian children living in poverty, a few 100,000 in Ontario living in poverty, no money for that. And yet people can't discuss it. That's why polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country, because it can help people discuss that. Because otherwise, all this stupid stuff is shoved into your head. You're not able to discuss it well. You might say it to other people, but it's not an explanation that you're comfortable and confident with. And if you're on the liberal side, you hate and fear anybody that doesn't think like you, as opposed to laugh at them for being stupid, right? And on the conservative side, you try and help. Say, whoa, they're really messing with you, right? Because on the conservative side, you're like, no, we laugh at this stuff. That's why conservatives took over YouTube. That's why the right took over YouTube, right? That's why most talking heads are on YouTube. Conservatives, when it comes to YouTube videos and individual, people out there making them, when it comes to memes and being funny and making them, right? When it comes to humor, period, right? If you want to laugh with people, right? That's on the more conservative, how to act like a human. Conservatives try and preserve what works to help people. Liberals try and make change to help people. And with the globalist, super rich people pushing for change so they can weaken and corrupt people and their country and bring them into sort of a globalist, one world government structure, the sort of UN, Davos, World Bank crowd. It's all sort of public now. It's just sort of, do you subscribe more to more international treaties, more Paris Accords, more Trans-Pacific Partnership, more United Nations, more we've got to do this, more things that nobody wants, more people suck. That's what we're fighting against. And that's why it's important for Canadians to be polite and respect each other, to expand the Overton window. So here at 4:38 p.m., Wednesday, February 20th, or Wednesday, February 19th, no, Wednesday, February 20th, 2019. It says here, according to Overton, the window contains the range of policies that a politician can recommend without appearing too extreme to gain or keep public opinion or public office in the current climate of public opinion, right? So basically, what can a politician say? What's too crazy to get votes, right? What's too crazy to say to get people's support, right? If the Overton window keeps shrinking and people keep shrinking it, if they're not polite, patriotic Canadians who expand it, if they keep shrinking it, then it will be less and less and less, and even our favorite politicians will have to go along with some really dangerous bullshit screwing us, just because the pressure from the media and from people brainwashed by the media to go along with that, as opposed to discuss and debate it, is too great. So, for example, when it comes to climate change, right? Climate change, they started going on about that in the mid-late 70s, 1970s. right? The Club of Rome came up with it. Club of Rome is a big super rich people think tank. And they were like, all right, so wars are great. If you start a war, your people rally around you. Yeah, go get them. Government, save us. We'll do whatever you say. Yeah, we'll go fight and die, or we'll give up our stuff, or we'll be taxed more. Yeah. So wars are great for uniting people in your own country, right? You're having some trouble, go start a war, right? And then you're all together at war with them, and you don't go, man, the government sucks. You go, no, we need them. Go get them, right? So the Club of Rome, clubofrome.org, they came up with, when it comes to climate change, and Professor Timothy Ball, for example, veteran climate scientist of 30, 40 years, many awards, presentations, and thousands of others can explain this. But the point is that the Club of Rome said, how do we get everybody to sort of be cool with a world government, a global government? And so they thought of two things. One, alien invasion. Tricky, but if it happens, and it's an option, but if aliens attack the Earth, then we'll all rally around United Nations global government to beat the aliens, right? So that's one. The second one is climate change, right? Global warming or global cooling. They use both, right? Then they just switch to climate change, whatever, right? Something bad, fault, right? So they basically make man, in the general sense, man, woman, children, man the enemy itself, right? We are the enemy of the Earth. We need the world. We need a global government to save the Earth from us. So that's the broader framing of climate change, right? That's why the war on terror rapture takes our rights, surveillance up, terror. Got to spy on you, terror. Got to do this, terror. Got to feel your balls at the airport. There might be a bomb in there, terror. I take naked pictures of you, laugh at them, terror. Terror. Takes your rights. That's the war on terror rapture, right? The global warming rapture takes your stuff, or climate change, global cooling, all the same, doesn't matter, whatever. It takes your stuff. It's, you're bad for the Earth, pay more for this. You're bad for the Earth, use less of that. You're bad for the Earth, you had it too good. You're bad for the Earth, your kids will have it worse. You're bad for the Earth, use a bicycle. You're bad for the Earth, live in a mud hut. You're bad for the Earth, and that allows them to take the Earth. That's part of United Nations Agenda 21, or Agenda 2030, which is the UN's plan to sort of control the world for biodiversity, right? They have some bullshit science behind that, but there's real shit science that says, nah, right? So, for example, in the 70s, they said there's going to be global cooling. Newsweek had a cover in the late 70s, global cooling, right? That didn't happen. And then in 2007, Al Gore and Inconvenient Truth, global warming, if we don't do something, in 10 years, Florida will be underwater. It's bullshit, total bullshit, right? Didn't get hot. Now it didn't get hot. People are like, I don't know. They say, well, it's climate change. The climate's changing. No matter what, it's your fault. Don't you feel like shit? Don't you feel guilty? Don't you think all this stuff is nice? Don't you think we had it too good? Don't you think we should everything should do less? And I remember people back in the day, 2007, 8. This is when people were nice and could talk to each other about these things. You don't want to abuse people with what you know. But if you act like you respected each other, then you could carry on short conversations or longer conversations about just about anything. Right? It wasn't like, get my manties in a bunch, get my panties in a bunch, right? That wasn't normal, right? And people were like, well, even if it's wrong, isn't it better to do something? It's like, not if it's wrong, right? When there's real things to do, not if it's wrong, right? And then when it comes to the sort of specific theory, carbon dioxide, right? Carbon dioxide is making everything hot, and we are making too much carbon dioxide, and it's going to make everything hot, and then the oceans are going to boil over, and the polar bear is going to drown. It's like, no, the polar bears are surfing, and they're on a little chunk of ice. Not like they just show that as a picture because it's like, they make you think, what if that ice melted and it drowned? It's like, it's surfing. He's just surfing. He was swimming, they swim great, and then he was eating stuff, and then he decided to go surfing. He's just chilling, he was swimming, he climbed on it, he's surfing for a bit, swim back to shore and go get some stuff. He was just surfing. That's what the polar bear's doing on a little chunk of ice, right? And when it comes to carbon dioxide is only 4% of all this atmosphere, right? All this stuff. It's all called atmosphere, right? It's mostly water vapor. Some of it's oxygen, and some of it's carbon dioxide, right? 4% roughly, right? Humans contribute about half of that, 2%, right? When it comes to all our activity, our personal activity, industrial activity, it's about half of the carbon dioxide of this 4%, right? And when it comes to this 4%, it has almost no impact on what the weather's going to be like. Right? If you see all this, everything around you, you can call the atmosphere, mostly water vapor, you know, that's why it condenses and rains sometimes, but there's other stuff in there too, other gases in there, right? You know, all this stuff, air, atmosphere, whatever. Only 4% is carbon dioxide, CO2. Only 2% of that humans have anything to do with. Even if we cut it in half and said, look, kill half the people, shut down half the industries, make everything expensive, don't buy anything, use anything, live in a mud hut. Even if we cut that down, 4%, we contribute 2%, the rest of it comes from other stuff. And we cut it in half, it would have almost nothing to do with what the weather's going to be like now or in 20 years. Almost nothing. Right? And what really changes the weather is the Earth's proximity to the sun, the giant yellow ball. As we're spinning around the sun, we move closer, it's a little warmer for a while, we rotate further away, it's a little cooler. Most planets in the universe are the same. That's the main thing. It's not carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is actually a really big joke, because carbon dioxide is not bad for the Earth. It's not. CO2 is not bad for the Earth, carbon dioxide. So it doesn't affect the weather, and it's not bad for the Earth. In fact, CO2 and carbon dioxide is actually good for the Earth. It's actually good for the Earth. So that's how it's a big joke. CO2 or carbon dioxide is what we exhale. We exhale it, and animals exhale it, and volcanoes put some of it out there, and industrial production does create some. But that doesn't mean every time you breathe, or every time the industry does something, or every time animals breathe, whatever, it's bad for the Earth, because plants inhale it. Plants eat carbon dioxide, right? So we exhale it, and then plants, they inhale it as part of this mixture of the atmosphere, of air, and then they put out oxygen for us and animals. And then the people and animals, we inhale this air mixture, and we take the oxygen and we use it, and we put out the carbon dioxide, and plants use it, and then they put out oxygen back in the atmosphere, which their carbon dioxide is our oxygen. So it's part of the natural carbon cycle. So carbon dioxide doesn't affect the weather. It's not bad for the Earth. Right? And yet, the people that are the biggest believers in this often have trouble discussing it with you. It's more about not being able to say or do anything as part of being watermelon green commie zombies. Right? Green on the outside, but red communist on the inside. You know you've got an agenda for the big communist government, communist Canadian government, which is in service of the globalist government. And so you know your job is to make sure nobody can say anything, except for it's bad, it sucks, it's our fault, we have to do something, and shut up. Now, if you're informed and empowered, then you could let people talk, you could discuss it with them, and you could beat their arguments. But if you're disinformed and disempowered, and then you disinform and disempower other people, you can't. You just make sure it's hard to talk, right? And I bring that up with respect to polite patriotism, expanding the Overton window of what we're allowed to say in public, so that you can discuss these things to save your country, because that's the choice. Is you either have, polite, proud, confident, patriotic, happy people who communicate about things, big things or small things, comfortably, and agree, disagree, learn from each other, or you have nobody can say anything, because the same philosophy that they get the sort of watermelon green on the outside, communist red on the inside, commie zombies, will be applied to everything else, right? Don't talk about gender, right? Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about culture. Don't talk about, that TV show being bad. Right? It's like, wow, there's a lot of murder on TV. See that poor girl there get raped and killed, and then see her naked, raped and killed body on the autopsy table, and then see some girl raped and killed in flashbacks, and then see some and then at the end they caught him. So I guess it's a good message there. But I spent like 45 minutes watching this girl raped and killed, and then these people looking for her, and then at the end they caught the bad guy. You know, and you could just go, well, this is just a TV show, right? But there is a better conversation to have about that. But the same sort of commie zombie idea of not letting people talk about anything kicks in and shuts it down. So then people can't defend themselves, right? You know, years ago you watched TV show once a week. Now you can watch like eight TV shows a day, right? With Netflix binge watching, brainwashing. So if there is brainwashing going on, and it's happening at an incredible level with, Netflix and Twitter and scrolling, it's like a slot machine. Where you scroll on your phone, it's designed to be addictive. Next thing, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? As opposed to an article where you read, you kind of know what it is, you might get bored. This could be, this next tweet could be good. This could be my lucky tweet, All these things, are designed to kind of to shrink your attention span and make it harder to communicate. That's why polite patriotism, nice ladies and gentlemen, who don't get worked up and bother people who don't like it, you don't like them, and then wander around bother strangers, like mentally ill homeless people used to. That's why that's so important. That's why it's important to be polite, have self-respect, not be a mess for yourself or other people to deal with. Okay? So here at 4:51 p.m. on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, I'm just going to finish the Overton window explanation here. So again, the Overton window, Joseph P. Overton, he claimed an idea's political viability depends mainly on whether it falls within the window rather than on a politician's individual preferences. And so it's like, well, what ideas could possibly work? And as I said, polite patriotic Canadians can expand that to say we have more options, we can discuss more, and we can demand better, or they make it hard to, and then you just have to eat whatever crap, the government serves us, the media serves us, and people serve each other. Right? So that's the difference. It's just like mentally ill homeless people. They enjoy bothering people who don't like it till you don't like them, or they enjoy being ignored because it's better than bothering people. Right? You don't have a choice. Like poor mentally ill homeless people sitting in a coffee shop for hours enjoy being ignored, by polite Canadians. At least you didn't see someone look ugly. They don't hate you, and you didn't bother them, so they're happy. Right? It's the best you can do. If all you can do is, act rude and sketchy, make people uncomfortable, bother people until they don't like you, then the best thing you can do is to be ignored. If someone sees you, don't like you, make you uncomfortable, don't trust you, don't respect you, you don't respect them. If they bother you, force you to see them look ugly, that's not nice, make you uncomfortable. So the best they can do is to be politely ignored and forgotten about, and then they're happy. They enjoy it. They'll run around and do it. They'll walk up Queen Street West and do it, or they'll sit in a coffee shop, poor sketchy old man. So they're happy. But I don't think it's for everyone, right? So if there are polite Canadians out there who don't have to get worked up and bother each other, they can meet privately and they can talk about what to do for where they live. Guys can do it, especially guys and girls can do it. Girls can do it. Any adults can do it, right? If you can get near people with people, and you're not going to force them to see you look ugly. They're not going to force you to see them look ugly, make you quiet and uncomfortable until it's hard to be near each other, and then you walk around forcing strangers to see you look ugly, making them uncomfortable, making them put up with you. If you can do that, then you can talk to each other about these things. If you can't, then you can't. Right? Then, of course, that's all you can do. And you can make sure nobody else can do anything else except for worked up, force people to see you look ugly, make you uncomfortable. It's kind of sketchy zombies, just looking for more. Right? So, anyway, so this is a summary from Wikipedia of the Overton window idea. Joseph P. Overton described a spectrum from, quote, more free to less free with regard to government intervention oriented vertically on an axis to avoid comparisons with the left-right political spectrum. So it's not a left or right thing, right? That's the key. It's not about conservatives or liberals. It's about, are you more free as a people, as a culture, or are you less free, right? So the unthinkable is total lack of freedom, right? Total lack of freedom. No matter where you go, no matter where you are, the government's on your ass, or people are on your ass. No one respects you. No one treats you well. You're always worried about it. It sucks, right? It's an absolute hellhole. Just a shithole, right? Like imagine just a really, really shitty country where you're just paranoid around everybody. A really shitty part of the world. Paranoid, just an absolute shithole, right? Just paranoid, miserable, messed up people, making each other uncomfortable, can't communicate, don't see any hope, don't show or get any respect. You can't look good, attractive, people jealous, mad, hate you, or you can't talk good, whatever, you can't walk good, you can't feel good, you can't do anything good, you can't express yourself individually, right? Just an absolute shithole, right? A total totalitarian communist dictatorship. All the same, all nothing, all, worthless, all meaningless, all whatever, right? That's absolute shithole. Now you compare that to absolute freedom, right? Nice place, nice people, nicely discuss our options, nicely look forward to our future, take some steps to work. You see it, got lots of technology, stuff, resources, got some robots. It's awesome, right? So it's hell or it's heaven on earth is the lack of freedom to the most freedom, right? Can you walk outside and feel like you're free to walk around without the government bothering you, picking you up, throwing you in a van, torturing you, police shaking you down, taking your money, or other people bothering you, rude, sketchy, crazy people, worked up bothering you, right? Are you free, from that? Or people mess with you, sexually harassing you, force you to look at them, touching you, bumping into you, making you uncomfortable, force you to see them look ugly until you don't like them, pretend bitchy, sketchy, ugly girlfriend, right? There's government on your ass, are there people on your ass, are there roaming gangs of people? Are there gangs that'll rob you or rape you or murder you or mess with you? Are there local gangs? Are there immigrant gangs? What type of Mad Max hellhole do you live in? Versus what type of nice place with nice people and nice options to look forward to do you live in? Right? So that's part of the Overton window theory. It's not a left or right thing. It's just, are people more free? If you're more free, none of these things bother you, right? You're like, I'm doing great. It's like, I like chocolate ice cream. I like vanilla. Good for you. I'm glad we both like stuff, right? It's like, hey, I'm straight. I like the words mother and father, and man and woman, and sir and ma'am, this and that. Just so people can act nice and talk nice and value each other as men want to feel useful, women want to feel special, and we can do that. And if somebody else goes, no problem, do whatever you want. I'm gay, me and my boyfriend, fine, we're happy. I like being in a place with happy people, right? Not, I'm a mess, you can't do that, I'll be mad, right? Like that's a mess, right? Just like you can't act normal, you have to put up with me. You can't relax and mind your business, you have to put up with me, right? You can't, be nice to people. No, force you to see me look ugly, make us uncomfortable. Nobody, be nice to anybody. You can't look attractive or you can't say anything intelligent. Yeah, force you to put up with you, make us quiet and uncomfortable. Yeah. Right, so that's the sort of hell, right? So that's why, it's about expanding the Overton window. And it says here, as the spectrum moves or expands, an idea at a given location may become more or less politically acceptable. Political commentator Joshua Trevino postulated that degrees of acceptance of public ideas are roughly unthinkable, radical, acceptable, sensible, popular, and policy. Right? Now those can go from good to great or good to bad. Right? So, if you're trying to change government policy, right? You might figure out what's popular. What's popular, right? It's like right now the Yellow Vest protest caravan heading down to Ottawa, right? They're, in Canada, from all over the country. We're like, no, we want pipelines, right? So they figured out what's popular, what's sensible, do a convoy, What's acceptable? Yeah, sure, it's part of our economy, a bunch of people together. But what's radical? That's pretty crazy. And then what's unthinkable? Could they actually do it? Could they change things? Right? Could we get, a country with 35 million people, the second largest country in the world, full of resources? Could we just use those to make ourselves rich like those little Arab countries do? Like, they have small countries, but they have a small number of people, and they have way more stuff than they have people, so they're all rich. They're all driving gold Mercedes and this and that, and I am Sheikh so-and-so. How are you, Sheikh? Well, my 18 brothers and I have a lot of oil. Why do we have oil? We have a lot of oil. We have a lot of stuff here. Not too many people. It's cool. We like it. Right? Can we do that? Or do we have to be like, no, everything costs more, energy costs more, stuff costs more? Like, what do you mean? Canada has enough energy for the whole world for the next 100 years. The rest of the world ran out of energy. They're like, hey, Canada, can we borrow some energy? Like, we only have 35, 36, 37 million people. And we have the second largest country in the world. We got enough for everybody for 100 years. Use smartly. So, that is, policy, popular, sensible, acceptable, radical, unthinkable. Right? It could go either way. We could be a very rich country, right? Full of resources, with individually rich, men and women, well-educated, well-armed, nice, polite Canadian ladies and gents, raising kids to be, communicate well. Oh, nobody's bothered by anything. Nobody's bothered by anybody, right? Who cares? Nobody's bothering anybody. Nobody's bothering anybody, right? Just, who cares? It's a nice place, nice people. Why? For what? Even animals don't do that. Unless they're rabid, unless they're crazy. If you're a dog, they can't stop barking, making everyone near you uncomfortable, and that's all you can do is bark. You just can't. And every time you near it, that's all it can do. That's different, right? If you're a rabid animal or a rabid dog, but otherwise, animals typically, you see squirrels out there, birds, they go to the zoo, they don't do that. Even if they eat each other, they don't do that, unless they want to eat each other. They typically don't do that. They'll just be like, screw you. Like, no, it's cool, zebra. I'm a lion. I ate a zebra like a couple hours ago. I'm just here at the watering hole to get a drink. It's fine, man. It's all good. It's like, oh, crap, zebra. I'm alone. I got white and black stripes. You can eat me if you want. Lion's like, dog, we're good. Next time. Zebra's like, cool, man. Why? Why bother for no reason? So even animals don't do that. Right? Just make other animals uncomfortable for no reason. So when it comes to that, there's all sorts of possibilities. Polite patriots can check out, existing sort of what's normal now, right? What's policy? Just a bunch of individuals not connected to anything, do as thou wilt, sort of Freemasonic, a satanic credo, and just do whatever you want to whoever you want, and anyone can do whatever they want to you. And then people don't respect each other, and then instead of getting along, they go bother strangers and do whatever they want to them, right? Instead of that, you can see what's popular, right? What's popular? Nice, polite, proud, patriotic Canadians. Don't bother people. Don't want to be bothered. Don't want to lose self-respect. Take anybody else's, right? Raise confident kids. Look, walk, talk, feel great. Communicate well. Offline about what to learn online, right? So you figure out, when it comes to the spectrum here, and the Overton window, how polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and help save your country. BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. Policy, what's popular? Is that popular? Is that cool? All right, cool. What's sensible? Right? What's sensible? What's sensible? What makes? How would you act on that? Right? How could you make sense to sort of validate that? You don't want to piss people off. Bother people, feel bad. God, I feel bad bothering people. I always feel worse. I've done it. I feel worse. I feel bad. If I don't, I feel great. Right? When people act rude, puts you in a good mood. Hanging up a rude telemarketer. You hope it doesn't happen, obviously. But if it happens, you just quietly keep your self-respect. Don't lose yours. Take anyone else's. You're good. Right? They called you. They did. You didn't do anything. You just got out of it. You're happy. Right? So, So policy. What's policy right now? What's popular? Right? What's sensible? Politely show and get respect, or politely keep your own. Let other people around relax. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. They're already uncomfortable. Somebody can't control themselves, make people uncomfortable. Don't talk about it. It's quiet. It happens. Some sketchy person gets on the subway. Everybody's relaxing. All of a sudden, hey, rude, sketchy, crazy, mentally ill person. It's like, oh, geez. And, everybody look away. You look at your phone. Look at this. Hide your, go, yeah, keep going, man. Yeah, go get them. See that family over there going to the Jays game? Yeah, man, woman, 3 kids. Go get them next. No. Ignore it. Calm down. Right? So, policy, popular, sensible, acceptable. what's acceptable, right? The yellow vest convoy making its way from the west to Ottawa to make a big stink and say, God damn it, our government should give us the ability to be free and prosperous, not, feel like crap and take more of our money, right? It's stupid. Stop it, right? What's acceptable, right? And then what's radical, right? And what's radical? What's a radical thing to do? How do you have all that baseline and then push it? As a radical conservative Canadian myself, and I typically, conservatives are typically just want to make a wave with you in the streets. No. It's like, no. Nice to each other, respect each other, discuss things, pass it on in some nice, cool way, and everybody happier and make smarter choices. And good. So what? Now I just make a big mess, near people and say, I'm messed up by something I can't really explain to you. I just make a mess, right? It's not really the thing we do, right? But as more of a radical conservative Canadian, definitely, do some other things as well. And then what's unthinkable, right? What's unthinkable, right? If you think this is not possible, right? This is about expanding the Overton window, policy normal to up to the unthinkable, right? If you're like, no, we all have to be quiet, force people to see us look ugly, make people too uncomfortable to respect each other, be nice, and talk to each other and stuff, and then just go force strangers to see us look ugly and run away. It's just easier, right? And it's hard to be near people. They force you to see them look ugly. All you want to do is force people to see you look ugly, so it's hard to be near people. So you have to run near people, force them to see you look ugly and run away, right? Make them uncomfortable, sketchy. Pretend ugly, sketchy girlfriend doesn't give a crap about you, what you have to do, doesn't give a crap what anyone else around is doing, just wants to make people uncomfortable, right? Not mine. Like if my girlfriend and I, we wouldn't do that, especially in public, very rarely. If I screw up in front of me badly, then sure, but otherwise, no, hell no. Bark, yank, spag, time out, stop it, knock it off, select people around, what are you doing? And if I screw up a little bit, half an hour late picking her up, 5-10 minutes, the car might suck, I have a headache, shut up, no music, you know what you did, I don't even want to talk about it. It's like, but I did screw up. But if I didn't screw up, then no, it doesn't feel good, just worked up, bother me. And strangers, just strangers, you can't help it. Make people that know uncomfortable, don't get along with them, they go bother strangers. That's just, politely ignore it, always feel better, don't bother anyone, and you're good. Let other people relax, already feel bad enough that it's happening, happy it's not happening to them, and let them know that you're going to mind your business and leave them alone. Or if you happen to be near each other and you want to say hello or look at or talk to each other, you can be friendly, you can be nice. It's not beyond you to be nice to people, right? So, is it unthinkable? Is it unthinkable that polite patriotism could expand the Overton window to save your country? No, I don't think it's unthinkable, right? But like a lot of things, they might seem unthinkable, at the time, right? So let's just say the policy in Canada was, nope, our miserable, weak-lying, bitchy man, globalist, sellout, shill Prime Minister Justin Trudeau working for globalists is working. They're working for people who are trying to rob Canada, not for Canadians, right? So he's robbing Canadians to pay those people, right? And give money away, whatever. And brainwash us, right? So our miserable, weak-lying, bitchy man, Prime Minister, it's awful. And believe me, Canadians know it's way better to be ignored by a polite, busy man than to put up with or act like a lying, bitchy man. They know. Guys acting like rude, ugly girls, love it. Girls acting like rude, ugly girls, love it. Kids acting like rude, ugly girls, rude, lying, bitchy, sketchy, ugly girls, lying, bitches begging to be broken. They have a great time. They have a great time. They take care of everything they need to do. They run up, partly rude, sketchy, mentally ill, homeless person, likes being ignored at the coffee shop for hours just because better than seeing them look ugly, not liking them, or bothering them. So what else can you do? That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Right? Or lying, bitches begging to be broken, this ugly girl, such a miserable, sketchy bitch. Oh, at least this man ignored me. It's better than so I can't do better than that. If you see it, it's like, yeah. Or if you do it to me, yeah. You can't do better than that. Right? Or if you put up with it, what kind of man he is? A piece of shit, right? So they love it. They have a great time. Right? But here at 5:08 p.m., Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, 5:09 p.m., downtown Toronto, Canada. As I said, you go from policy as a baseline to popular, sensible, acceptable, radical, and unthinkable. And then it's possible that polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country, right? If you can push that, if you can keep your self-respect and not lose yours and take other people's, right? If you can act like an adult that's just not a mess, and that can make sure people are not a mess. Or an animal that's just not a mess. It can make sure other animals not a mess. Like a bunch of squirrels, like, nah, dog, I'm just enjoying my nuts. Like, me too, dog. Some other squirrels like, rabbit, freaking you out. It's like, none of us can enjoy our nuts. Forget it, guys. Fuck out of here. Take off somewhere else. Relax, enjoy your nuts. The homies or whatever. Right? That squirrel and this guy, way too squirrely. Right? And so, that's the Overton window can help save your country. Anyway, I'm going to finish off a little bit this Wikipedia thing and then on to something else. But the Overton window is an approach to identifying which ideas define the domain of acceptability within a democracy's possible governmental policies. Right? Proponents of policies outside the window seek to convince or persuade the public in order to move and or expand the window. Proponents of current policies or similar ones within the window seek to convince people that policies outside it should be deemed unacceptable. After Overton's death, others have examined the concept of adjusting the window by the deliberate promotion of ideas outside of it, or, quote, outer fringe ideas, with the intention of making less fringe ideas acceptable by comparison. The, quote, door-in-the-face technique of persuasion is similar. So, the idea is, if you're outside the Overton window of what is normal, what's current policy, and you're trying to convince people of something better, then you're trying to expand that window to say, think about this. You can't tell people what to do. Only the TV can, and government can, the system can, school can, or whatever. Right? People, other adult humans, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, apparently you can't. I always thought you could. You don't have to listen, but I always thought you could. But if you can't, you can't. Right? But you can give people options. Right? And so, proponents of policies outside the window seek to convince or persuade the public in order to move and or expand the window. Now, is that valuable in Canada or anywhere else around the world? Is it valuable to have people trying to expand the Overton window of discussion? Right? Because others will do it. Others will do it outside of it happening organically with nice, proud, polite, patriotic people who respect each other, don't make it hard to communicate, and then, communicate well. And some individuals within that are more capable than others, and you try and help people out, one way or another. Make sure they're cool, make sure they're informed, make sure they're whatever. Fine, right? People who are against expanding the Overton window try and make that difficult. Is that something we value, right? Where it's easier to discuss more things, or is it something we don't value, where it's harder to discuss fewer things, right? Where, here in Communist Canada, for example, over the last few years especially people who are more rude and sketchy, make it hard to talk, bother people who don't like it till you don't like them, and then wander around bothering strangers, right? Instead of getting along with people, it becomes harder, right, to communicate about these things, right? And you're supposed to say less about less, and that causes more stress. That's why in my song Fight Club, I say, we can all get high tonight, talking Fight Club. We all go ride tonight, talking Fight Club. Better than the stress of saying less about less, because the stress of saying less about less leads to social constipation, trouble talking, and then gender neutralization. And it's just like, animals trying to express how messed up they are to other animals. Right? So, right now, if that's policy, is it possible to promote polite patriotism so polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country? Not because you or anybody has all the answers, but because it's easier for us to discuss and share them, and then to beat bad ones, right? So is it possible? Or is that completely unthinkable, right? When it comes to people, for example, Canadians, here at 5:13 p.m., Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, downtown Toronto, Canada, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. When it comes to the Overton window of policy, to what's popular, to what's sensible, to what's acceptable, to what's radical, to what's unthinkable, because a lot of these things are being changed for us. We're making it harder to change it ourselves. We're making it harder for normal Canadians to change it, and it's being changed for us by globalist, super rich people using international institutions to control the world, including the UN, pushing for open borders, UN Global Compact on migration, sexualizing kids have sexual rights, and other groups like that. And then a few years later, that slamming into our shores, where we're supposed to have open borders and let in whoever, don't say anything, and we're supposed to sexualize our kids, teach them more and more about more and more types of sex at younger and younger ages, and don't say anything about that. So both of those ideas were once unthinkable, right? Those ideas were unthinkable. Went from policy to popular to sensible to acceptable to radical to unthinkable, right? And it can go the other way, unthinkable to policy, right? Unthinkable, radical, acceptable, sensible, popular policy. So it's unthinkable to walk around a country and just say to polite Canadian adults and others, you could have little flyers with you, you could have a thing, you'd have a clipboard, you want people to sign a petition, you walk around, oh, excuse me, sir, ma'am, yeah, no, you're just here on a nice day. Listen, I think I have this petition here, and it says we should teach younger and younger children more and more about more and more types of sex. I'm trying to get 10,000 signatures in Toronto to show we adults know what we're doing. You'd get told off, possibly beaten, possibly arrested a few years ago. And it's a damn good thing, right? You should get censured and shut down. Not censored necessarily, but censured, possibly censored when it comes to sexualizing kids, obviously. Pedophilia, pedo training. Just like the FBI manuals say, give kids more and more information about sex. They get used to it. Then when you have sex with them, you're like, well, I guess this is what that was for. I don't know. Made me feel weird, but, and so that's, part of how they do it. And so there's all these things, but now I'm sure you could, right? So the unthinkable, the radical, acceptable, sensible, popular policy, that happened. Or you can go from policy, popular, sensible, acceptable, radical, unthinkable, right? That's the Overton window, right? So when it comes to Canadians, right, is it too crazy? Because again, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com here at 5:16 p.m. Wednesday, February 20th, 2019. Is it way too crazy to say Canadians should be polite? Right? Is that outside the Overton window? Is that something that, nope, don't say it, don't discuss it, don't bring it up, don't do anything that's unthinkable? So it's unthinkable, right? And it's got to get from unthinkable to radical to acceptable to sensible to popular to policy, right? Or is it just too crazy? Is it just completely insane, right? Like to say to Canadians, you should be polite. Nice, polite Canadian, don't bother anyone, don't make people uncomfortable near you, don't get worked up, force people to put up with you, don't force people to see you look ugly and feel they don't like you, and then you can't get along and you just run around forcing strangers to see you look ugly, right? Don't do that. Just nice, polite Canadians. Great, nice, polite ladies and gents, teach kids. Everybody's straight, great at it, others LGBT, whatever, who cares? As long as nice, polite Canadians don't bother each other. They're not bothered by it, right? Not bothered by what you're doing, if you're bothered by what you're doing and bothering other people, then you're all screwed up, obviously. Mentally ill, whatever. And you make accommodations for that. Don't be a jerk yourself, right? You politely ignore, forget about it, mind your business. Don't lose self-respect, take anyone else's. That's the best they can do, is just not be, a pain in the ass, not make you hate them, and not bother them. And they're happy about that, because everyone else, you hate them, they make you feel bad, make you uncomfortable. They want to look at, talk to them much. You don't respect them, and then they can't do anything better than that. Then that's all you can do, right? But is it impossible? Is it unthinkable to get Canadians to be polite, right? Is it easier to teach a dog to fly an airplane than it is to get Canadians to be polite, right? That's why I say polite patriotism can expand the Overton window to save your country, right? Easy to talk, whatever. Or is it easier to teach a dog to fly an airplane than it is to get Canadians to be polite? Right? Now, for example, here, 5:19 p.m., Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, right? Unthinkable. It's unthinkable that Canadians can be polite. Unthinkable. It's unthinkable. In Toronto, Canada, World famous city like Toronto, Canada. World class, top 10 city in the world. Unthinkable for Canadians to be polite. It's unthinkable for you to be another Canadian and not bother them or not be bothered by them. Unthinkable. It's completely unthinkable. Right? Let's just say that might be the case, right now. It's unthinkable to be near someone and not get worked up and bother them, force them to see you look ugly, or not have them get worked up and force you to see them look ugly until you make each other uncomfortable and you're just kind of uncomfortable near each other. And you prefer running around, forcing strangers to see you look ugly and running away because it's easier than just force people to see you look ugly and being uncomfortable while they're still there. Right? So is it unthinkable for that? That's something that you have to say, well, is it possible for polite patriotism to expand the Overton window and save your country? That's what I'm making the case for, right? So it might be unthinkable, but let's just say, here in this nice mall of Eaton Centre, downtown Toronto, right? Let's just say it's unthinkable for people to be polite, right? Well, let's just say somebody had a radical idea. Unthinkable becomes radical, right? Because unthinkable, until you come up with something, it's like, oh my God, it's unthinkable. This is so crazy. And then you come up with, well, hold on, what about this? Right? So what's radical? Right? And then how does radical become acceptable? Right? Like, that's radical. It's unthinkable. No way Canadians be polite. No way. Don't say it. Don't do anything. They're uncomfortable. Don't talk about it. They just get more excited to force you to see them look ugly, make you both uncomfortable if you are polite, or if you say anything about being polite, and then they just make you quiet and uncomfortable, and then they make you into someone who forces people to see them look ugly and makes them uncomfortable, and you can't get along with people, and you go force strangers to see them look ugly and make them uncomfortable, and then, that's basically it. Right? So unthinkable, radical to sort of question that, and then acceptable to question that. Right? So even here at the mall, if there's some security person or whatever, or other person, or other people in charge or whatever, right? So it's unthinkable to even say people should be nicer to each other here, right? In the mall, at this festival, at this, concert, at this bar, at this coffee shop, at this school. It's unthinkable to say people should be nice to each other. Unthinkable. Just don't say it, don't do it. People feel bad because they force people to see them look ugly until you don't like them, and they feel bad because they do that, so don't say anything because they'll feel worse because they do that, so they feel bad, and they make you feel bad, and they don't say anything because they'll feel worse, so they feel bad, so it's unthinkable. You can't do anything, right? But then radical, you might think of something, then radical becomes acceptable, and then acceptable becomes sensible, and then sensible becomes popular, and popular becomes policy, right? So potentially here, for example, or anywhere really, but you'd be like, it's unthinkable that Canadians be polite. You're better off teaching a dog to fly an airplane than to say Canadians should be polite. You want to waste your time? You really want to waste your time? You got to teach that dog to fly an airplane. Not like Snoopy and Charlie Brown comics either. I'm talking about like an actual dog, and not a particularly bright one. You can take him with a little small plane. You can put him in the plane, and he could jump out, or he could, poop in it or whatever, all nervous and stuff. And that's easier than telling Canadians they should be polite, right? So, however, if that is unthinkable here or anywhere else, right? Radically, you might be able to go, no, hold on a second. Even if people want to act rude and sketchy and bother people who don't like it until you don't like them, and then have trouble looking at, talking to, being near each other, and then run near strangers and bother them and make them uncomfortable instead of getting along with people. Because otherwise you wouldn't have time for that, right? Only poor mentally ill homeless people, traditionally in the last 5-10 years, it's changed a lot, but only poor mentally ill homeless people do that. They can't get along with other homeless people. You're like, man, why is that guy on Queen Street West, walking around all frustrated, swinging their arms and bumping into people and coming too close to people and spazzing out and walking up Queen Street West? It's a beautiful day in Canada in say July of 2009, not July of 2019. There's going to be a hell of a lot more of that all over the place if this keeps going. But in July of 2009, say, or even say 2014, 13, 14 typically, right? You'd be like, man, why is that person just walking up Queen Street West, just swinging their arms and flaring off, all pissed off and making everyone near him uncomfortable? It's like, oh, because they made all the homeless people at Queen Street West and Bathurst uncomfortable, and they couldn't hang out. Right? Because who has time to do that on nice days? Walk around bothering people. Force people to put up with you. Add rude sketchy, make people put up with you. Right? So, unthinkable, radical, acceptable, sensible, popular, and policy. It's possible that somebody could be like, here or anywhere, could be like, it's unthinkable. Then they could be like, no, I got an idea. What if we put up signs saying, be nice? Like Go Transit did with their Better Etiquette campaign. Right? Go Transit in Toronto, transit system, buses, trains, travels to, from, and around Toronto. About an hour or so, hour and a half around Toronto. So a lot of people who live outside of Toronto and work in Toronto take the Go trains and buses and pay about $25 a day back and forth. 20, 25, 10, 12, 30 bucks a trip or whatever. And away. And so they were getting complaints from their riders that they were being too rude on the Go trains and buses. And so Go Transit had to think, oh crap, they might drive instead. Let's put up a nice, tasteful poster campaign. Not some miserable, radical left, controlled liberal, make you feel bad. People feel really bad. And you should feel really bad for these people who feel really bad. And you can't make them feel good, and they can't make you feel good. And that's life. Eat this. And they didn't do that, right? They did a nice, whimsical, fun Go Transit. Wouldn't it be nice if we shared space? Wouldn't it be nice if we did this? And it also had the backing of, this isn't what we do here, right? It's not just a bunch of atomized individuals in the West unable to defend their culture who are like, so what? Screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you, right? So it's unthinkable to stop people from bothering each other and make sure Canadians are polite. But radically, you could say, well, now hold on. Here in this area, like on the Go trains and buses, Go Transit system, we don't do that. As soon as you get off the Go trains and buses, and you go walk to work at Bay Street, whatever, then you can bother. You can do whatever you want to anyone you want. Anyone can do whatever they want to you. This is total paranoid nightmare hellhole like war-torn Somalia, or Afghanistan or something. It's just everyone's just, you can't trust them. You have to always watch your back, whatever. You don't know what people are going to do next to you, whatever. Yeah, sure. That's after you get off the Go trains and buses. But here, on the Go train and bus system, we've got these posters that say, be nice people, share space, whatever. People like, what if we all did stupid things? Would the world be stupid? Wouldn't this place suck? Right? So Go Transit, they came up with that nice, whimsical, classy, Better Etiquette campaign. And it was unthinkable, but they were getting a bunch of complaints. So radical, well, we need to do something. Then it's acceptable. Well, who cares? It's just a poster over there. If that person wants to bother everyone here, they don't have to pay attention to that poster saying be nice. Right? Well, I hope they do, and you've got security and others, and if security's like, if somebody's like, what do you mean? I'm not bothering anyone. They're like, look, you're bothering people, now you're bothering me by lying about it. You see that sign over there? It says don't bother people. Right? So it's not just me being an ass, because you being an ass because you're mad because you can't get away with being an ass. Right? See that sign? Right? So, unthinkable, radical, acceptable, and then sensible. Go trains, buses, people thought it was sensible, and then popular, because after a few months, the Toronto Star and Metro paper and Toronto Sun and others, they reported on this. After a few months, the Go trains, and buses experienced, according to surveys, they don't get everybody, but they give you an idea of what's going on, a nearly 40% drop in antisocial behavior after just a few months. And they experienced, thousands of social media impressions. And 85% of people polled said they liked the campaign. They'd heard of it, they liked it, they thought it was a good idea. Right? So it became policy. Right? When it comes to Go trains and buses. And people liked it. Nobody complained. People will do something and they won't, but nobody complained. Or they're like, hey, we should be nice. Now, if you want to say get bad guys, people might start crying, right? But you can't say get bad guys, you can't be nice anyway. Right? You can't, if you be nice, then you say get bad guys. You're like, well, I don't feel like talking about that. I'll go over here. Well, I do. Come over here. Who cares? Right? So it's not a big deal. Right? If you could say, and most people like the be nice thing. It's worked for thousands of years. It used to be just some person would say it, you could hear it, you type repeat it, then posters, flyers, and the Speaker's Corner, Apple Crate, and now Twitter, YouTube. But if people don't act nice enough to talk, then, it's kind of like, right? talk to each other like adults who respect each other and teach kids to, and then, you know, not just say stuff to everyone, no one, or do stuff in front of everyone and no one, and make it put up with it, you know, hope it has a positive or negative thing, or just get it out there or whatever, right? That's the difference. So that happened, right? It happened on the GO trains and buses, and there was some feedback, you know, in terms of this sucks, people are being too rude in the GO trains and buses, I take them every day, I might drive instead, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll do this, right? So polite patriotism can expand the Overton window. Here at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, downtown Toronto, Canada, BK Black Krishna for manforwars.com. So yeah, there's a bunch more here on the Overton window, but we'll leave it at that for now. And there it is from Wikipedia, courtesy of Wikipedia. Not sure if that is the best definition, but you can see the Overton window leads to more freedom or less freedom. Right? That's the main purpose. It's not a left or right thing. It's about more freedom to mind your business, or be nice to people, or look at, talk to people, and enjoy where you live, and be free and prosperous, and have a nice place and nice people and great things to do and a future to look forward to, or less of that. Right? That's all it is. Now, both are unthinkable and radical, acceptable, sensible, popular in policy. They just could go either way. Right? It could go either way. So, for example, it was perfectly normal in Canada for people to be polite Canadians. Right? It was, you know, policy, it was popular, it was sensible, acceptable, radical. What was unthinkable is acting rude and sketchy and bothering people in public and making everyone quiet and uncomfortable and making everyone have to put up with and act like that. That was unthinkable, right? The idea that just a few years ago, 5-10 years ago, you could come to the Eaton Center and you could just walk around bothering people, sexually harassing people, threatening people, bumping into people, assaulting people, molesting people, force people to look at you, see you look sketchy, disrespecting people so they have no self-respect and they're a mess for other people and they take other people's respect. The idea that you could do that was unthinkable. And radical, acceptable, sensible, popular, and policy. Right? It was completely unthinkable. 5-10 years ago, one person doing that in a mall of nice polite Canadians who politely acknowledge each other and then out of the way, on their way, busy or friendly to be respected. Right? Unthinkable. But then, radical, forget it, I'm going to get away with this. Force people to see me look ugly until they don't like me, and then I force strangers to see me look ugly. I get worked up by people who don't like it until they don't like me, then I just go bother strangers. Yeah, that's what I do. Acceptable, sensible, popular, and policy. So that just becomes normal to go along with that. That's polite Canadians stripped of their national identity, their heritage by globalism, told they're racist, sexist, phobic, they had it too good, everything sucked, they should replace everybody, they should change everything. You know, it's like, what? Was this or was this not a good country? And are we or are we not trying to save that, you know, while accommodating for different interests? Right? So that's the Overton window. And to go the other way, it'd be pretty much the same thing. It's unthinkable that Canadians can be polite. It's radical to suggest people will be polite. People will just get quiet, uncomfortable, you know, they're, oh no, I'm embarrassed. I hate it when people who worked up force you to see them look ugly. Other people get excited. I love force people who don't like it to see me look ugly. You like being polite? I love force people who don't like it to see me look ugly and feel they don't like me. Yeah, so excited, right? Unthinkable, radical, acceptable, sensible, popular, and policy. It goes both ways. You get more freedom, heaven on earth, great country, great place to live with great people, or go to hell. Crappy country, shitty place to live with shitty people. That would have been radical in Canada just 5-10 years ago. Right? If you walked around this mall 5-10 years ago, you walked and bothered people, within 5 minutes, you get thrown out. In 5 minutes, you get thrown out. Right? There's a bunch of nice, polite Canadians here, and some sketchy person says, yeah, sketchy, creepy person, yeah, sketchy, creepy weirdo. Everyone near me I creep on, yeah, I force them to see me look ugly, I sexually harass them, make them look at me, that's sketchy, I lay a pretend bitchy, sketchy, ugly zombie girlfriend, yeah, or I bump into him, or I rub up against him, I molest him, or I try and make them look at me. I'm such an ugly mess that it's hard to be near me, let alone actually friggin' look at me, so I really have to work my ass off just bother people into just barely tolerating me for a second and running away. Right? A few years ago, in a nice mall in a nice city like Toronto, Canada, world famous, nice, polite people, right? That wouldn't last 5 minutes. 5 minutes gone. It was unthinkable. You could try it, but it would take a while to make that normal. Right? It was unthinkable. 5 minutes, gone. A few people see him. Yeah, what is it? Oh, that guy in the green jacket. Yeah, he's sketchy and weird. They just keep bumping into people, spazzing out near people. I don't know. They can't talk. They can't get along with people. They can't talk to people, so they just scratch their head near people or wipe their nose or shove something in their mouth. And they bump into people, and they're hard to be near, so they have to do everything to just try and barely get any attention, even just to see them look ugly and then run away. Right? And so if there's a bunch of nice, polite Canadians at a mall, and somebody was doing that, within 5 minutes, people would just call security. You know, just tap security, or tap someone, hey, excuse me, what is it? Yeah, that guy in the green jacket over there, or whatever. Poor sketchy, crazy person, you know, walking around bothering people. Yeah, they're just a little aggressive. Look, I feel sorry for them. You obviously hope they can stop. Partly ignore, forget about it, have a little self-respect, mind your business, don't bother anybody else. People are already uncomfortable happening nearby, somebody can't control themselves, make people uncomfortable for no reason, if you don't like them, whatever, right? So obviously, just, you know, be cool. But within that polite Canadian framework of people doing their best to try and politely avoid it, not argue with someone with nothing to do with bother people, who knows what kind of shit they could drag you into after that. They might lie, get embarrassed, get upset, get mad at you, accuse you of something, you know, it's just, ugh, right? It's awful. And if they do that, they act like that or talk like that, there's really not much you can do, right? Eventually, people they know don't give a shit about them because they don't give a shit about those people, then they go bother strangers, right? Same. So, a few years ago, you just get security, and security would be like, oh, geez, within 5 minutes, you know, they'd go, hey, sir, yeah, I'm sorry, sir, you have to leave. Oh, what do I do? Sir, look, you may have some issues, but you gotta go. I don't need some fucking bullshit song and dance. But what? What are you doing? What are you talking about? These some rude, sketchy weirdos. Nobody can get along with me. You can't be near me. So I just walk around before strangers and look at it. What are you talking about? I'm not doing nothing. It's like, come on, man. You gotta go. Right? It used to be just nothing. Well, if somebody's not that aggressive, if they're just, you know, sitting there at a coffee shop and Tim Hortons and they're not falling asleep or bothering people, if they're not worked up and physically threatening people, if they're not running at people, if they're that aggressive, then you call the police. Of course, you threaten me or whatever. I mean, if it persists, if they, whatever. Right? There's one person look ugly and run away. Whatever, it is what it is, right? Just probably look away, ignore it. Always happy it's over. You know, nobody likes it. I've tried to help people out. I've said to other people, there's 20 people sitting there, hey, you want this person you worked up, force you to look at them, see them look ugly, make you uncomfortable? Anybody? You're just sitting there. You're doing nothing. You're waiting for the GO train. You're doing nothing. Come on. They really want it. They seem to think this is something that you could ask strangers for, like ask them for directions or the time, you know, or where something is. They seem to think this is a perfectly normal thing to do. Worked up, force people to put up with them, like pretend ugly, sketchy girlfriend in public, hates you, you know, mad at you, you know. Mine, and again, don't do that. Even if we're arguing, you come to the mall, you stop. Right? Not like, force you to look ugly, hate you, everybody. Yeah, gross, right? Not mine. Some guy, girl, screwed up with it. Right? So, the Overton window has changed a lot. Right? 5:38 p.m., Wednesday, February 20th, 2019. Unthinkable, radical, acceptable, sensible, popular policy, or policy, popular, sensible, acceptable, radical, unthinkable, right? We've kind of traversed that when it comes to the Overton window, and it happens super fast, right? And once you get people in this position, you can pretty much do whatever you want to them, because if they do whatever they want to other people or each other, then they don't have self-respect. So it's hard to resist, it's hard to communicate, it's hard to raise confident kids who can do anything like that. Right? What are you supposed to say? What kind of leg do you have to stand on? Right? If you're a polite Canadian, polite patriotic Canadian adult, or wherever you live, then it's different. Because then you're cool, make sure other people are cool, know what's going on, can help people out, and that's your default. Not your default is not to make sure you're not cool, you don't know what's going on, you make sure other people aren't cool, they don't know what's going on, everyone's quiet and uncomfortable. That's the opposite. So yeah, that's the Overton window. So this is how polite patriotism can expand that, similar to the Go Transit campaign and others, and people can sort of take radical steps. Now you need to have some backup, right? When it comes to this, you need to have some backup. That's why I've got Manfred Wars, want to proof, polite patriotism versus rude globalism. Oftentimes not saying anything or doing anything, because I want to make sure it's not me. And you'll see, just hundreds, thousands, millions of people just running up, trying to force you to see them look ugly and running away while you do something else, because that's the best they can do. If you see them look ugly, you don't like them, they're not happy. If you force them to see you look ugly, they're not happy. But if that's all they can do, that's the best they can do. Right? So let's just like the poor sketchy homeless person at the coffee shop. Right? It's the best they can do. Yeah, everyone near me, you get the great old man, I feel bad, make it feel it's okay. You sit there, okay. Not too aggressive, not too whatever. So that's the Overton window and how it's changed. So anyway, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. How polite patriotism can expand the Overton window and save your country was something I was just going over. Because it could happen anywhere. It could happen here. It could happen whatever. Where, and when it comes to the video and so on, the backup, they just keep me from being any shit, or other people being any shit, whatever. Anything could happen at any time. I don't know what'll happen if anything happens, right? Like, oh, okay, fine. I want some evidence. And blow the whole thing open, or just be a polite patriotic Canadian. Don't bother people. As long as you don't bother people, as long as people don't worry about what you do, then they generally don't worry about what you say. Right? Now, if you're targeting people, if you're making people uncomfortable on purpose, if you're forcing people to put up with you, then of course they always worry about what you say, worry about what you do, worry about what you say. But if they don't worry about what you do, they don't worry about what you say, and they're fine with it. They may agree, they may disagree, they want to hear more, they may want to hear less, they may be communicating with you, they may be just near you, just eating at a restaurant near you or whatever near you. They don't care, unless you're really trying to bother people. If you're really trying to bother people with what you do, or really trying to bother people with what you say, then that's too much. But if you're trying to bother people with what you do, then you can't trust what you say. So people don't talk to each other, and they just go bother strangers instead. Bother people, So, and this also comes when it comes to like Fight Club versus The Matrix. Fight Club, guys in particular. I don't like putting pressure on girls. I'm nice, and they put pressure on themselves and sort of be nice. Fine, I don't care. Right? Or nothing. Who cares? It's not mine. Not my make, model, ownership. So typically not that concerned. Just trying to make sure cool. But guys get together and they respect each other more than normal, right? And it could be guys. It could be guys at the Fight Club situation, right? Where they agree, and the other guys just get excited. What? Somebody wants to do anything besides force people to see me look ugly? I want to force them to see me look ugly, right? Some guys get excited, other girls, kids, right? They'll just, you're really worth forcing to see me look ugly. I'm not worth anything. I don't show or get any respect. I'm hard to be near. I'm not worth it paying any attention to or getting any attention from. But if somebody is forcing to see me look ugly, it's so much fun, right? So you're going to get some people like that, and they can't come. Right? You can't have them there because you won't do anything. You won't be able to do anything. Right? You may have to hang out with them outside of that. That's why I recommend this sort of Fight Club style, where guys get together, or guys and girls, or patriots, whatever, get together privately, and they, sort of implicitly or explicitly agree not to make each other uncomfortable. That's why polite patriotism is so important. Otherwise, you get people like, yep, I care about this country. I'm just a messed up bitch. Oh, messed up bitch about it. Just a messed up, rude, sketchy, bitchy mess about it. Yep. Forced to see you wipe my nose. Now it goes. You pick my ears. Scratch my head a bit. Yeah. God damn it, this place is not what it used to be. Forced to see me look ugly. Makes us uncomfortable. Quiet. Yeah. And then that's it. What can you do? Right? So they can't be there. If they have to force you to see them look ugly until you don't like them, and then they go force you to see them look ugly, sketchy or whatever. They can't be there, right? They'll be fine. They'll run around. If you have to do that with them, then you can do that with them. If you're not that into it, you're not like that's not your obsession, or you can be like, no, I don't need to do that. I'll do it because that's what they do. And they don't want to feel, it's the Overton window. Canadians used to be polite, make each other play. It's unthinkable to just be rude and sketchy for no reason. Right? It's always polite. But now it's unthinkable to be polite. Now you have to be rude and sketchy. That's the Overton window shifted the other way. It's unthinkable, radical craziness. not sensible, acceptable. But no, it's like, yeah, you will. Right? So you can be like, no, polite patriotic Canadian. I respect people, they respect me, and then we can get along. But if I have to, no problem, right? You hang out with Joe, Bob and Joe hang out, and Bob and Joe doesn't, hey, how's it going? Yeah, no, pretend bitchy, sketchy, ugly girlfriend. It is. Force you see me look ugly, and then once I don't respect you, and you don't respect it, you put up with an act like it, then we don't respect each other, then we don't really talk to each other comfortably, still near each other. Then so we don't respect each other, it's not really worth paying attention to each other. No, I just force people near us to see us look ugly, sketchy. Anybody here, honestly, rude, sketchy, mess? This person's not really, it's just okay, they're a mess too, it's nothing much, right? And then just force people near him to see him look sketchy. So if Bob's hanging out with Dave, and he's got to do that with Dave, then you do that with Dave, right? But if Bob can hang out with Joe, and then Bob and Joe are like, hey, how's it going, man, how's it going? Hey, no, just look away. Force you to see me look, no, look away. How about you? No, look away. Oh, okay, cool. Not into that? No. Okay, so we're cool? Okay, so what's going on? Then you can talk normally about things, right? Then you can talk happy, not happy, sad, you can be funny, you can figure out you want to talk more or less. You can use body language comfortably, right? It happens. I meet people. I'm typically in a good mood. Knowing people like mood puts you in a good mood, so I'm in a good mood. And I meet some people, and if they're not worked up trying to force you to put up with it, force you to seem look ugly, sketchy, make you uncomfortable. If they're not doing that, then you can figure out what the vibe is. So I'm in a good mood and meet this guy, and he's all business. I'm like, all right, all business. Well, you're not trying to bother me. I'm trying to bother you. Who cares? Meet this other guy, is friendly. Hey, friendly. Or sometimes all business. Or make sure we're all business. You seem like you're too happy. No problem. And once you respect him, then he's like, oh, okay, so how's your day? I just wanted to make sure that you respected me. But now that we respect each other, you're friendly, who cares? How's your day? Oh, it's good, how's your day? Chopped up a bit, I play these baby. Okay, you're doing well. How you doing? You too. Good. Right, if you're in a store or something. Or girl, same thing. Could be like, all business. Or it could be like, oh, you're friendly, whatever. Easy to say stuff to each other. Sometimes you got to make sure. But you can use, normal human body language. Normal, masculine, feminine, human body language to sort of show how you feel and also discuss how you feel, as opposed to attack anybody that can do that, to turn them into a zombie who attacks people and turns them into zombies. Right? So that's what you can do, is that if polite patriotic Canadians can get together privately, and especially guys, Fight Club style, think, talk, fight, do stuff for where you live, right? Look each other in the eye, don't lie, look each other in the eye. Some guys will get horny to pretend to be your lying, bitchy, sketchy, ugly girlfriend, right? You're like, you lying bitch begging to be broken. Yeah, I love getting up guys' asses till they like me and then running around bothering strangers, right? Or I love being ignored. Fuck you, loser. Put on me. Thank you, soldier. I needed that. Lying bitch begging to be broken. DMX made 7 albums about it. A lot of our favorite artists, Tupac. Most hip-hop's about that. Most hip-hop's about that. Not most hip-hop. Most hip-hop referring to that, it's about that. It's about this. Right? Don't act like a bitch or a bitch is bitch. Who makes more bitches? Who make more bitches? Guys. And then girls won't. Right? Because what the girls do? Whatever. Like, no. Fine. Do something else. But if guys like whatever, and girls be like whatever, and kids be like whatever, then it's fine, right? So people are doing that. If polite Canadians can get together, or wherever you live, and you can agree to respect each other more than normal, and sometimes people do. There are groups of people that get together and don't force you to see them look ugly, right? There are groups of smaller ones. In the big zombie herd, insanity is more common, and then you have to run around and force people to see you look ugly, because if you don't, everyone there will attack you and force you to see them look ugly, right? Everyone there who's into it, you'll just be attacked by a horde of zombies. It's kind of World War Z, movie. They'll attack you and force you to see them look ugly, right? So you have to, in large groups of people in public, run around and force people to see you look ugly, or make people sketchy, or respond to it, and then nobody knows they can relax, get along with you, or respect you, right? This person's like, hey, sketchy, get your message. Value. Hey, sketchy, get your message. Value. And nobody around knows that you can be cool. Nobody knows you can be nice to each other, right? Guys like, shit, ain't be nice. Yeah, everything sucks, fine. Don't want to say anything, do anything much. It's hard to even be near you. Girls like, everything sucks, you know it is, put up with me, it's hard to be near you, right? This person, well, hold on a second. They can be nice. They're not worked up bothering anybody. And they're not paying attention to people worked up bothering people. So they can be nice. Well, fucking hey, Let's be nice then. It happens to me all the time. People, see you not bothering people, see you not paying attention to people bothering people, and they go, oh, you can be nice, great. So it happens. It happens like every day. Not often, mind you, not with what's going on these days, but it happens. And so Canadians and others can do that. Get together, because it's Fight Club, came out in 1999, and you flip that upside down, 666, might be something there, satanic bad karma, evil people have to tell us, what's going on and what their plans are and what to do, so they get good bad karma for their evil things. It's like Batman villains have to tell Batman what he's going to do, and then, they get off on it, whatever, right? They got to give you a chance to get out of it, according to some schools of thought. So there's Fight Club, where men especially get together privately, respect each other more than normal. Normal, crumpled, weak, lying, bitchy, sketchy, pussy man. No, you know how it is, Dave. Nothing to say, nothing to do, except for bother you. Can't say anything different, it's too scary. No, don't want to be different. Too scary, too weird. No, nothing different. Don't want to say anything the same, it's too boring. Or if I had to say something the same, just accent it by making you put up with me. You know what, just nothing to say, nothing to do, except for bother you. You know how it is. Sort of put up with me, kind of being near you, not being able to say or do anything. Yeah, all right. You have to do that in public. You have to do that at work. You have to do that here. You have to do it, fine. But privately, you can get together just like in the movie Fight Club. Think, talk, fight, do stuff where you live. I'm not saying every second of that 2.5-hour movie is gospel. I'm just saying the idea, right? Especially guys, because that's what works best, right? You might be like, no, all the same, all equal. It's like, all right, bro, nice purse. No, what are you talking about? You dress nice. I put on makeup. I'm a hot girl. What are you talking about, right? And all the guys are like, no, we force guys to act like rude, ugly girls, and then we make girls and kids act like, and now we're sick. There's no men around forcing me to see me act like a rude, ugly girl. I run around like crazy. So there's no point. Guys, girls, kids run around like that, right? So you just make everyone act like a rude, ugly girl, and you run around looking for a man to bother or ignore you, right? So it's that's why. Guys get together, and it works in the sense that, there were men's clubs and boys' clubs or whatever, and women were fine with it, as long as they're not competing. As long as men feel useful and women feel special, and as long as, which is what we want, as opposed to, useless and annoying, right? Then it doesn't matter, right? Because people are happy. It's not about being miserable and making other people put up with you or do something else. So being good. You guys enjoy your guys' night, poker night, whatever it is. Good, come back, confident, happy guy. You girls enjoy your girls' night. Go shake your ass at the club. You get some, big muscly guys looking at you and flirting with you, buying you drinks. Don't do a damn thing else. And then and have fun. It's all good. Give me a call later. And you're good. Who cares? Right? And because it doesn't matter, and it works when it comes to men speaking freely, because they don't have to be as nice. And you might be like, I don't care about any of that shit. Everything's the same. Everyone's the same. Doesn't matter. There's no good-looking people. There's no ugly people. There's no happy people. There's no sad people. There's no men. There's no women. There's no nothing. It's all the same. I say, well, that doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you happy in movies. It doesn't make you happy in music. It doesn't make you happy in real life. It doesn't make you happy in it. It doesn't make you happy in how you dress. It doesn't make you happy at all. It doesn't make you happy to be. It doesn't make you happy to see. It doesn't make anybody happy. It's all crap. Right? It's all the same crap. It's like communism. It's all crap. It's like, we are equally poor, equally ugly. Those people are different. Those people are good looking. Those people are less. Those people are rich. Oh, fine. We are all equally poor and ugly. It's communism. Right? If you're straight, 98% of people straight, great at it, under polite patriotism. Nice ladies, just teach kids, communicate well, offline, will learn online, for the win, save their country. Easy. There's enough out there. If you believe an Angus Reid poll of 700 people when it comes to voting in an election, you believe 7 million people online or whatever it is. It's nothing, right? If they can do that. If they can't, they can't, right? Or it's at least worth considering, not just yes, no, I don't believe this, yes, I believe this. It's just worth thinking about. So it's nothing, easy. And that's what polite patriotism does, right? It's unthinkable, radical, might be acceptable, might be sensible, might be popular, might be policy. To be proud, polite, patriotic Canadians. Look, walk, talk, feel, and do great. Teach kids to. 98% of people straight, great at it. Others can be great at it. As opposed to, everyone's straight, you have to suck at it. Don't take it seriously. Don't take your kids seriously. But dress your little boy or girl in gray. Dress them in a little gray prison jumpsuit. Not even orange. It might be too, I don't know. What is masculine and feminine these days anyway? Who cares? Dress them in a little prison gray jumpsuit and let your little boy or girl decide what they want to do. I know they're only a few weeks or months old, but you treat them like they're a rock, a little gray rock, a little 6-month-old baby, boy or girl, like a little rock that just sits there and you don't do anything with it. And let it decide what's going to make it happy. You 35-year-old parent. That's bullshit. You raise little kids to be good at being little boys and girls, as long as you can be good at being men and women. And then you don't screw around when it comes to kids who think of anything. Like comedian Owen Benjamin said, his little son said, "I'm not a boy, I'm a 3." And it's like, a 3? Yeah, I'm a 3. He's just understanding he can be a boy and a 3, right? He's just figuring things out. He's not serious about it. So, yeah, polite patriotism can expand the Overton window to help save your country. 5:56 p.m. Wednesday, February 20th, 2019. BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. Unthinkable, radical, acceptable, popular policy. It's possible. And BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. Support the Man for Wars efforts as you'd like. Hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.